Plays it off his hips, softly into the leg side for no run. One delivery to come. At the back of their mind, they'll still remember that ball that rushed onto Rizwan's grill at great pace, 89 miles an hour, straight onto his grill.
It's an exciting phase, isn't it? Anything could happen right now. If you're slightly off your line, you feel like it's runs. But equally, we're seeing some fire from Archer. Good fun.
Yeah, what a contest this is as Archer comes in once more to Azhar Ali. He bowls another short delivery. Azhar all the way down, ducking it as the ball goes through to the waiting hands of Jos Buttler. End of the over, 139 for 5 after 54 overs. Ebony, maybe you could talk a little bit about this comeback from Pakistan while I make way for Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, just how important this is for Azhar Ali particularly, and if he can, talking up a long way away, he's on 69, but if he can get himself towards that century mark from a position of him being under pressure as captain for runs, to get your highest score and get something meaningful would be important. Let's not forget there's a bit of weather around, so you never know, they could take this game a little bit deeper than everybody expected. So really good to see this fight back, a good partnership.
Yeah, they've played well, haven't they? And well done, Azhar Ali. He's really had a tough time of things recently, but he's changed that technique a little bit, he's opened himself up a little bit. He's getting his left leg out of the way, essentially, not getting quite so trapped as he was, which produced all those LBW decisions against him, and he's played really well. There's still 444 runs behind, though. It's huge, isn't it? It's a horrible place to be, but at least they're showing some fight and determination, and England having to work hard for their wickets. Jimmy Anderson's off, but very happy during that spell. But he's polishing the ball up for Chris Woakes now, who's coming on down at our end of the ground. Lovely shot of the groundsman's dog I can see on our screen here. Good old Winston.
It's a cutie.
He is a cutie. He's quite a big. He's a big cocker spaniel. But, lovely colour, red colour. Only a pup. He normally scuttles around the ground. He has a walk around about this time usually around the terrace, but he's sitting on his owner's knee at the moment, out in the sunshine on the left-hand side. 139 for 5. And time here for Woakes to get wound up, but he's getting there now. He was stretching, getting himself organised. The sun's coming out. Strange day today it's been with the weather. When the sun comes out, it's actually very warm, but too much cloud there's been for much of it, and some rain too. And Woakes finally on his way, bowls to Mohammad Rizwan, who's a brave little fighter, actually. I really admire him. He's on the back foot playing out to cover at the moment, but he's one of those players who'll go back. That's a no ball, finally signalled by the umpire. He'll go back from this series with his reputation enhanced, that's for sure. He's kept beautifully. He's batted in a very gutsy fashion. He looks like he enjoys his cricket too, but he looks like the sort of person that you want in your side, actually. He's chirping away behind the stumps. And now Woakes will have to go back and start over again. The floodlights are on. So he runs in now and he bowls, and Rizwan's on the back foot wanting a single. And he plays that very nicely, square into the offside. Takes his run. 141 for 5.
What's this partnership worth now, Andy? So just...
Partnership now 66 in a ball under 18 overs.
A bit frustrating, and hear the shouting out there from England's players. Getting a little bit anxious. They're so in charge of the game, but let's get another wicket or two. Winston's having his ears tickled. Spaniels like that. In goes Woakes over the wicket. Bowls, comes cutting back, turned out to mid-wicket. And there's no run. 141 for 5. Azhar wanders around the crease, adjusting his thigh padding and so on, waiting for Woakes to complete the journey. Archer throws him the ball from mid-on. The final polish. Woakes turns and immediately starts to trot in, then he runs in a little bit faster. He's there and bowls outside the off stump because it's a thick inside edge. And Pope has to feel that at mid-wicket, so not where the batsman was aiming it at all, but just correcting himself now, playing the shot again. There we go, where it like to have gone, which is towards mid-off, where James Anderson's standing with his arms folded. He's taken all but one of the wickets to fall so far, with Bess taking the last one. And forward, caught behind by Buttler. A, it was a really good catch, nice one, real reflex. Of B, it was turned and bounced. Off goes Woakes. Bowles hits him on the pad. Now they like that one. They're appealing for leg before wicket. They haven't got any reviews left. Umpire Gough says no. He's doing the right sort of things. But then funny now, I saw Joe Root there questioning, saying height.
Yeah.
But he's got no reviews. There's no point saying anything.
It feels like an umpire's callish, doesn't it? Like it might be hitting the top of stump. It did jag back a decent amount. Quite high though. Top of the pads. Yeah,
just above the knee roll, isn't it? But there's no point going through the questioning because they haven't got any reviews. So we haven't seen the technology run on the replay yet, but it wasn't a bad shot. It did the right sort of things. Martin Gough's had such a brilliant game. I think I'll go with him. In goes Woakes. Bowles short this time and thumped off the back foot at him by Azhar, who was waiting there for Woakes to hurl the ball back at him. And cowered away a bit. Let's have a look at the technology here. Impact in line. Wickets. Umpire's call for height. Just a bit of a bail trimmer. But I think it's perfectly acceptable for the umpire to give that not out. 141 for 5. And goes Woakes. Bowles, slower ball, pushed away out to cover. I wonder though, do you think that the umpires have in their mind, right, England haven't got any reviews left, so therefore is it sensible for me to say to have given that out because Pakistan have got reviews, but then of course if he had given it out on the field he would have been out, wouldn't he? Although the ball was trimming the bails technically.
Okay, yeah, so give it the favour that at least there's still a chance for it to be
if you give the team that's got the reviews available, whether you make a decision based on their ability to still to review it if it's wrong.
Well, I've got a question that I think is controversial. I'm sure this might upset Twitter, but I was thinking about this a moment ago where there was, maybe half an hour ago, there was a ball that got looked at that was impact outside of the line, but went on to hit middle stump. It might have been Woakes or something like this. Now, with the introduction of technology, do you think anyone would ever consider, a bit like we saw Dom Sibley given out, actually coming down the wicket? Now, because technology is allowed, DRS means that is out and umpires can give it out. Do you not think if the ball pitches an impact outside the line but goes on to cannon into middle stump, we've got enough technology now to prove that, could that rule be changed?
What, so it's out, you mean?
Yeah.
The ball pitches outside of stump and hits the stumps, or it would hit the stumps.
So impact outside the line, but actually goes on to hit the stumps?
Well, it's not a crazy idea. I mean, what you could do, let's watch Bess coming on here. So a slip and a short leg, and he's bowling to Rizwan. And that's fielded by Pope at short leg. I mean, obviously there'd be more decisions out, wouldn't there? So, should the dark day dawn when there are 4-day test matches, it could be a way of speeding them up, I suppose, getting a result. But that would be a dark day. But well, it's not a crazy idea at all. This is played away by Rizwan towards mid-off. It would encourage the batsmen to use their bats and make sure they get there, I suppose. This has always been the case, as long as I can remember anyway, that it's been not out from that way around. There was a time where it was out, it pitched outside leg stump as well. Here's Rizwan pushing into the offside.
Oh, I've never known that.
That's a long, but
well, it used to be
long time ago. There's the next one from Rizwan. He's defending Bess. Buttler fields it behind the stumps. All smiling going out there. Rizwan's enjoying himself. He's smiling now. I'm waiting for Bess to wheel round. Little skip at the start of his approach, and he walks in and then bowls, and it's a bit short that, and Rizwan just run the ball away square into the offside where Crawley is fielding, but they take one run. 142 for 5. T coming up at 5 to 4, and then we go on late. We go through to 7:30 tonight. Not sure that's going to affect Philip's Vietnamese cuisine. There's Bess. It's tucked away out through mid-wicket. And they'll take one there. There's a fella coming in off the boundary. 143 for 5. bit of that over. I feel very inadequate. I've never had Vietnamese food. Have you had? I didn't know what to order.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I don't know what I asked for. I think I just said fish and get surprised. I have had Vietnamese food, but I don't feel like I'm familiar enough to know the dishes.
Right.
But it's good.
I'd love to go there. It's a fascinating country.
Yeah, better travel that way would be on the list. It'd be nice.
Well, we'll report back tomorrow as what Tuffers has served up. Felt a little bit of a panicky decision.
I think he was under pressure.
Yeah, he was. He's gone left field, I think, because he was under pressure. So we'll see. 1:43 for 5. Woakes will continue. Azhar is now on 70. And there's this man very close in, very straight, mid-on. Woakes moves in, bowls to Azhar, who's forward. In fact, is fielded in that position by Sibley. It's where Terry Alderman used to have one for Graham Gooch a lot. And of course, Terry Alderman used to get Graham Gooch out a lot as well, with LBW usually. And had that man there staring straight at him. I'm not sure if it ever got out caught there, but it was more, I think, just to try and mess his footwork around. In goes Woakes, bowls very full down the leg side. Not a good ball. Buttler's able to gather that on the second half volley. It went through low. 1:43 for 5. Floodlights on. But, some brightness amongst the low cloud. It's coming over the hill, over the woods. Woakes gives the ball a rub on the back of his trousers, wheels round again. Off it goes, bouncing in. He's there and he bowls. And Azhar's forward, wanting a single, then shouts no. It's Crawley quickly from cover. So no run. Deserted stadium. Just every now and then you see somebody moving. It's usually a photographer. It might be an ECB person. There is Ella Donaldson, isn't it?
Oh yeah, she's a hand specialist.
She is. I know Ella very well. She's from Loughborough.
Yeah.
In goes Woakes, bowls a low full toss really down the leg side that Azhar can do nothing with. She works at the NHS and she's been sort of seconded out to do this. She's been based here from the very start. She's,
which a lot of people don't know, the players you see wear these sort of gloves that go over the delicate part. You often see sort of early season. She developed those, which the players have been using for years. I remember even in my England days she was making them. So a lot of us owe her a lot. Those early bruises that you get at the start of the season.
Absolutely. Here's Woakes, and that's played to mid-on. She played for England, I think.
Did she? I don't know if she did.
I think she did. I think we need...
It's worth a check.
Yeah, we need Andy to check that. I think she did. DONIS.
Yeah. Is it two N's?
Might be two N's.
Lovely lady.
Yes, she is. 1:43 for 5. In goes Woakes. Bowls on that leg stump, flicked away down to long leg broads down there. The Karate Kid with his bandana on, throwing that in. And one more run taken. 144 for 5. Archer Azhar 71. Rizwan has 19.
She played 3 one internationals for England women's team in 1999 against the Netherlands, Denmark and Ireland.
Wow. What does it say? What county she played for? I know. Sorry, I'm throwing you off. I know she's got a Midlands-ish accent. Would you say Midlands?
Yeah, I think she hails from around there. She works, certainly works in the Midlands, but she does work with the Loughborough setup with the cricket.
Yeah. She's been around for a long time.
Was captain and wicketkeeper in all 3 matches that she played in international cricket.
All right.
That is unusual. In comes Bess. From the far end, he bowls, and that's wristily played by Azhar down towards the vacant third man. A long chase for Jofra Archer from the deep point area. He arrives now, hurls the ball in, and Buttler gathers it as Rizwan comes sprinting into his ground. Cloud of dust all over the place as he runs his bat in. Lovely shot.
The wrists are coming into play, aren't they? The more and more these two are at the crease with a bit of timing, they're just able to place the ball nicely. It's a slightly slow surface. They've got time to just work it. Good skill set.
That's a very unusual thing, is it, to make your debut as captain?
Well, interesting. We played a lot of European matches. So my technical debut, even though I don't say it is, mine and Isha's, were playing in these European series against Netherlands. So often...
Of course, Bess coming in, bowling, and Rizwan defends.
Yes, often those series
Where would they be played?
So they'll be played whether here or... but we got caps because they are official internationals, but sometimes they played teams that were, academy-style teams.
Right. Here comes Bess. Bowls short and nicely jabbed away by Rizwan off the back foot, just for one run this time.
So the good news for some of us, it means that I look like I had a much longer England career than I did. I only played like a game, but it looks like I played for like 9-10 years. Same with Isha.
Yeah. 148 for 5. Here comes Bess. Bowls. Played off the back foot out to cover. We played the Netherlands a few times at the Hague Cricket Club. Have you played there?
I've played. Is that in central? In like the central of the city, or is it? I don't know. I don't
know. Here comes Bess. Bowls, and that's swept away down to deep square leg. A chase for the fielder. Can't get there. It's another boundary to Azhar Ali, who moves to 78. And Pakistan 152 for 5. It's a lovely ground. But the interesting thing was, of course, we get in a taxi and asked to go to the Hague Cricket Club, and none of the taxi drivers had any idea what cricket was, or B, where on earth a cricket ground was. They had no idea what it was. It just looked like a sort of an empty park to them.
Yeah.
They didn't realise that cricket was played there, or even what cricket is. There's Bess. And it's pushed away off the front foot by Azhar. There's no run. They had a bowler, a fast bowler, who was a confirmed thrower, chucker.
Yeah.
So what he did, he literally bolted his arm straight with a brace and ran in about 20 yards with his arm like this, absolutely dead straight. He ran in and just whirled it over like that. Extraordinary sight. It was the only way he could play legitimately. I can't possibly be throwing
not happening.
it. Yeah, I've got this thing on.
I've played out in the Netherlands with I think they call it coconut matting, isn't it? It's like they didn't have a proper sort of strip as such with grass, so that the ground that they had to be used. And we played county cricket over there as well. We took our county team as well. And they pull tight those matting, and you're kind of calling them to pull it really tight.
I think ours was matting, but the pavilion and the so on was red and white. I seem to remember. It was a very distinctive building. So I'm sure people have been out there and played as well. But good fun those days were. 152 for 5. Woakes looking for his first wicket. He's on his way again. He's bowling to Mohammad Rizwan, who's on 20, and he's on the back foot again, fiddling that away. I was going to say to Gully, but Gully, it seems to have gone these days. The Gully fields. I'm going to talk to Joe Root about this at some stage, because Gully has gone, and Gully often gets a few catches there from sliced drives and so on, but they have that man there now saving the single. So he's
a sort of backward
point. Rather than Gully. And funnily enough, I noticed that Pakistan started doing that as well.
Yeah, well, we've seen it. I mean, Azhar in particular has worked quite a few just nicely late through where the Gully fielder would be.
In goes Woakes again, hair blowing, and it's pushed away defensively by Azhar, who's on 78.
Is it left open to encourage?
Could be. But the slice drive, we don't quite get to it. A thick edge. Quite often got catches in the Gully, but it's definitely gone. It's out of favour at the moment. Woakes again spins himself that catch. He goes through his routine as he walks back to his mark, and now he's ready again. Bowls on the off stump. Let's play firmly out to cover. Crawley is doing the fielding. We'll have all the scores for the Bob Willis Trophy during the tea break. Kevin Howells is on duty for us, I would imagine. It was Headingley the other day. Didn't see much play, I'm afraid. Weather around. I hope he's got some today to report. 153 for 5. Woakes again. The sun out once more. Over the wicket. Bowls and then defended by Azhar. Squaring up a little, but played back up the pitch. My spies tell me that Azhar, so this Azhar has been having a really rough time in Pakistan. A lot of criticism. So he'll be enjoying this. If he can get to 100, that might quieten a few people down. 153 for 5. In goes Woakes. Bowls short outside the off stump. He turns his back almost on that, withdrawing the bat.
Well, there's another 20 overs with this ball. We haven't, it's not one to reverse. So really, I guess the hard job is going to be coming back out after tea, just restarting. But then there's a nice little period where he could again settle in and get to that 100.
Lots of overs left, aren't there? There's on that board over there, 48. After this one, 48, what's 3 hours? At least 3 hours. There goes Woakes. That's steered away down to third man. Will it go all the way? Bess is after it, sprinting down towards the rope. And I just see the ball bobble in the air as it hits the rope and into the hoardings. So it's another boundary. And Azhar's moved to 82 now. Is just really finding some rhythm. Rizwan's 21. We are just joining us today. Just 2 wickets have fallen today. Anderson dismissing Asad Shafiq. So that's number 597 for Anderson. And then after quite a lengthy stand, Fawad Alam got an unplayable ball really from Bess. The off spinner, Fawad left-handed, ball turned and bounced and was very well caught by Buttler standing up. I'm not sure who had the biggest smile, Bess or Buttler actually. But, it was a brute of a ball. 157 for 5, so 426 runs still behind. What's happening down there? Oh, I see, having to wait for Bess to return from the deep.
To highlight the acceleration in Pakistan's innings, their 50 came up in the 25th over, 100 in the 46th over, and the 150 in the 58th, so they've accelerated nicely.
Rizwan's on 21, and Bess comes in and bowls, Stuart drives, quite timed that. Got a brave shot though against the spin. He finds Crawley at extra cover. Bess spins himself a catch again. And that little skip to start with, and now he's literally just walks up and into his delivery stride and bowls, and this time Rizwan will get a single. Running away out to point. Root is the fielder, running out from slip. With no Ben Stokes here, of course. Root walks back into position. Lots of things going through his mind, not least where we're going to get a wicket from. He's brought Archer up now. He was at deep point, so he's bringing up now to save a single in the offside, just behind square. Bess moves in, bowls, and Azhar defends that, pushing it back up to the bowler again. Interesting that Bess is bowling from that end, because I know it's to a left-hander that he got that huge turn and bounce, but that was from this end. So that's perhaps just having a look to see what there is down from the other, and that's played a little bit of bounce there, I think, by Azhar, but played securely into the short leg area. So it just depends where Shaheen Afridi's been bowling. They've got quite a few overs from this end, so creating the rough that Bess is aiming for. But, Azhar again treats him with absolute respect. Fielded by Burns. He's got a little towel hanging from the waistband of his trousers behind him. He's at mid-wicket. Bess. Oh, what's happened there? It's gone straight through. Now, was that a chance? Josh Buttler will be hoping not. I wonder if it was. Let's have a look. It looked like it might have been an arm ball, this. It certainly didn't spin. And there's a little fiddly shot. And let's have a look at the replay of this. Watching it now. No, it's off the thigh. Off the thigh. But it was a good ball, and it was the last one before tea. I think it was an arm ball. It certainly just ran on. I think spinners these days call it natural variation, don't they? Which is basically a non-spinning spinner. But it didn't hit the edge. It just went straight on, flicked the back thigh, and although Buttler dropped it, he'd have seen that very late. And so no chance will be recorded. Bess looks disappointed. It was a good delivery, but that session has belonged to Azhar Ali. 82 not out. All his teammates are out there applauding him, standing behind the Pakistan flag that's draped over the advertising hoardings. And there you go, captain under pressure, and he's responded very well. He's raised a thumbs up. I don't know who that was to, but very obviously over to the right, like it was to the England direction, giving somebody a thumbs up as England go trooping off. And Azhar Ali goes bounding up the stairs. And again, lots of applause for him there as he reaches the dressing room. He's got a long way to go, and Pakistan have got a massive way to go if they are somehow to avoid defeat here. But they've shown at least that they've got some determination about them.
Yeah, really important. A bit of resilience. I think, England tried. They made the ball talk with the newer ball and got stuck into the game. But after that fourth wicket, they've made them work. Well done to Bess for eking out the left-hander. But England have been trying. We've seen those feisty spells from Archer and some disciplined bowling. But I think Pakistan have been up to the challenge. The pitch conditions worked in their favour, nothing really off the surface, so it's just allowed them to settle in. Like you say, the key here for Pakistan, even if they don't get out this game unscathed, a few careers such as Azhar Ali, under pressure as captain, away series, he'll want to change the narrative, so 100 for him could be really important.
Yeah, with 30 for 4 when they lost that first wicket today, and so far behind, you could have seen some teams just folding there, but that hasn't happened. And Fawad Alam made a good 21. He got that really awkward ball from Bess. And Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan's 22 and Azhar Ali's on 82. So that's how it ends for now. Players having left for tea. Abid is off for a cuppa. 4:25 behind. In a moment we're going to hear a special chat with Pakistan's opener Shan Masood. But first we'll check on what's happening in the Bob Willis Trophy up and down the country. Kevin Howells is at the Roses match watching Yorkshire batting against Lancashire. And have you had some more play today, Kevin?
Yeah, we have, but I'm afraid we're off for the moment. Yeah, well, let's try and be positive again.
I know.
But
what a summer it's been, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but listen, we'll take anything, won't we?
Yep.
And we've had plenty. However, it would be quite nice in this penultimate round and last round to keep it as fair as possible by getting some cricket in. They are mopping up at the moment. An inspection planned at 4 o'clock now, with Yorkshire at 98 for 4, Lyth on 45, Tattersall on 8. Lancashire, I think, will have mixed feelings about that. They put down 3 catches in the morning session this morning, and therefore Lyth has had to battle really hard for his 45, Tattersall on 8 in this partnership at the moment. But Peter Hartley and James Middlebrook, the 2 Yorkshire umpires in the Roses match, but there you go, going out now to have a look, and hopefully they'll come back and say, look, we might get some more in for the close of the play today. It's the North Group, this, of course. Also in the North Group, Derbyshire currently leaders of that group, but they've been frustrated with the weather as well at Durham, but also by Durham's batting, particularly Paul Coghlan and Ned Ecclesley, who put on 151 for the 7th wicket. So although they're off for rain, Durham 337 for 9. Nottinghamshire going well, 161 for no wicket. Hasib Amid and Ben Slater. What a story, Ben Slater, now scoring runs against Leicestershire. Leicestershire 222 all out, Notts 161 for no wicket there. Let's move into the central group. It's going ever so well for Somerset. They're 93 for 1 in their second innings, having bowled Gloucestershire all out for just 76. So they lead by 254 runs. Worcestershire steady at the moment with a bat, 60 for no wicket in reply to Warwickshire's 355 for 9. That included a double century for the Warwickshire captain Will Rhodes. Northamptonshire 245 for 4 after Glamorgan were dismissed for 259. And into the south, the 2 leading teams in that group facing one another at Arundel, but they have had some problems with the weather there. Again, it's raining, with Essex 83 for no wicket in that game. Middlesex 176 for 7 after Sussex made 293. And Surrey, with Ben Folkes batting for them, so 29 not out I think at the moment, but Surrey 101 for 4 after Kent made 342.
Lovely, Kevin, thanks so much. Let's hope that inspection up there round about now produces a positive outcome, and you get some play back up at Headingley. Every ball of every game, of course, in the Bob Willis Trophy is live on the BBC Sport website and the app. So a battling effort from Pakistan today after their poor start yesterday. The opener Shan Masood continues his struggles against Jimmy Anderson again. I think it's 8 times now he's got him out, and he'll be hoping to fare better in the second innings. He's an interesting character. Born in Kuwait, his family left for their native Pakistan at the start of the Gulf War. He was educated at Stamford School in Lincolnshire before studying at Durham and Loughborough universities. And ahead of the test, Asif Nawaz caught up with Masood on Zoom, who told him how well the Pakistan team were gelling despite the difficult circumstances.
The best thing about this dressing room has been the culture. As a group, we get along very well. We spent some time together. This has been literally almost the same group since we embarked on this journey from Australia, since we started our World Test Championship. And the best thing has been the culture and how guys, whether, I mean, in our terms, whether senior, junior, I think they're on that same par level. We get along very well. We talk about cricket, we talk about life outside the field as well, and that's more important on how you get along. So there's this level of camaraderie, and again, having a good backroom staff, having people like Misbah, Yunus, Waqar Yunus, who've been there, done it all. We've got a pretty extensive backroom staff, and everyone plays their role. And again, it's not just about their own domains, but you kind of get life experiences. I can learn something of Shaheen and Naseem, vice versa. They can learn something of Azhar Ali, and then it goes back and forth. So as a unit, we're pretty close.
When you talk about life off the field, what do you like to do in your spare time, Shan?
Me, like personally, I like reading a lot. I like going to the cinema, but the pandemic has made sure that doesn't happen. I like eating meals outside, but again, like, kind of waiting for normality to occur again. I like watching sports. I follow sports quite a lot. So whether it's basketball, I like watching documentaries. So I've watched a lot of sporting documentaries recently. So just a lot of things that are related to my field, but that also give me sort of that element to switch off from cricket and not just think about cricket. I think that's very important, where once you leave the field, you leave everything over there and not take that baggage.
What have you been reading recently? I'm quite curious.
I'm reading this book called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. It's a really good book. And another one called The Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. Yeah.
All-time favorite book. Do you have an all-time favorite book?
All-time favorite book would be this book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. That's the first book that I read before getting into reading, and it just sort of touches on the power of your subconscious mind. So I'm into looking at the ways our minds work, and that's really fascinating for a sportsman as well.
Absolutely, I can imagine. Is there a big reading culture in the Pakistan team, or are you one of the few people that'll be in the corner under a lamp reading a book?
I don't think so. There is. So yeah. I have books on my tablet, I have books on my phone, so yeah, I'm quiet. When I'm looking at my phone, it kind of means that I'm reading a book.
Yeah, fantastic. I bet there's some fun conversations about Malcolm Gladwell to be had in that Pakistan dressing room. So what about films? Like you mentioned you like films. What's your favorite film? What kind of genre do you like?
It's interesting. I mean, different movies at different time. I'm a huge superhero fan, so yeah, a lot of Marvel. But my favorite superhero would be Batman and the Dark Knight trilogy.
Great films. Great films.
So that's the only Batman I've watched. I've never watched a Batman before that, and I've made a pact that I'll never watch Batman after that. So Christian Bale is the only Batman for me.
You're kidding? You've never seen Michael Keaton as Batman?
I've made a pact, so I'm not gonna go back on that.
Well, I mean, I understand for George Clooney or Val Kilmer, but Michael Keaton was fantastic.
Christian Bale.
You're looking forward to the next Batman. We've got, the actor from Twilight.
I'm not watching any Batman. That's the only Batman that I'm ever gonna watch in my life.
Did you watch Joker?
I did. I don't think that's a good movie if you want to be in an upbeat mood, but the acting was really good. But yeah, like one of my all-time favorite movies is The Departed. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my favorite actors, and I just watch a lot of films. I like going to the cinema and watching.
Oh, fantastic! I recommend to you. I don't know if you have access to like Netflix and things like that, but there's a film called Infernal Affairs, which is a Far East cinema film, which will inspire The Departed. If you've not seen it and you like The Departed, you should watch Infernal Affairs. You'd enjoy that. So that's nice. You keep yourself sort of busy with films and things like. What about music? Do you like music?
I listen to everything. Yeah, so there's a lot of music that we listen to, whether it's music from back home. I think I get inspired by that as well. When you listen to something in your own language, I think And I think it just sounds in our language, in Urdu, or even I get a bit of Punjabi, but when you listen to the lyrics, they're more poetic, and they're also inspirational. But I listen to all kinds of music, whether it's Western, whether it's local.
What are the last 3 songs that you listen to on your phone?
So last 3 songs have been, so one of them has been from a TV montage. It has Kaigo in it. I think it was done over the test match.
Okay. Janoon, Sayoni.
And the other 2 have been instrumentals from the Last Dance. So I was watching the Michael Jordan documentary. One of them was the entrance song. I think it's called Serious. It's Chicago Bulls' entrance song whenever they enter the court. And the other one was one where I think they were showing Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr, that 2-pointer that he hit in the 97's finals against Utah. So there's this background music going on. So I always have Shazam. I make sure I have Shazam on and I see what the name of the song is. And luckily I was able to get that.
Do you have that playing in your head sometimes when you're batting in the nets?
Whenever I'm batting, there's always a song in my head. Every time I've gone on to bat. So music to me always has it's always time related. So it's always associated with a particular time. And whenever I'm batting, I have a particular song.
What's the most common one that comes up when you're in the middle?
I think the one that I remember quite vividly was when I was in Gabba. That was you were facing Stark, Cummins and Hazelwood. That was always going to be a feisty battle. Some switch in music as well. So I kept a slow song. I kept Memories by Maroon 5 and that, just to calm myself down.
That's fantastic. It's fascinating just listening to, because I don't know if you've ever seen clips of Verinder Sehwag, but when he would bat, he would frequently, he'd sing along while he was sing out loud. He would sing Atif Aslam songs out loud as he was batting. It's quite bizarre. Just be careful. You
have to learn to switch yourself off while you're
you don't want to be caught singing on the TV or make all the memes. If they did make a film about you, Shan, if they decide to make a biopic, the Shan Masood story, who's going to play Shan Masood?
Who's going to play Shan Masood? Would I like to play? I don't see any resemblance.
It doesn't matter. I'll give you an idea. So
if you give me a choice, I can probably make.
No, I can give you some ideas. Like when I spoke to Shahid Afridi, he told me that he would like to see Tom Cruise to play him. Okay. And I spoke to Yasir Shah. He said he would like to see Humayun Saeed play him. And Naseem Shah said he'd like to see Nawazuddin Siddiqui play him. Very bizarre choice, personally, I thought. But to each their own. What do you think? Anybody whose work you admire? Maybe DiCaprio.
I mean, I'd be honored if he plays Shan Masood.
Excellent. We'll get on that. I
don't think that's possible.
No, we'll use all of our BBC might to get the message to Leo that there's a great Pakistani cricketer. We'd love to see you play him. If we can. I'd love to get your thoughts actually on a couple of players in the squad at the moment.
Sure.
Shan, we talk about the great English bowlers, but Pakistan is blessed with some fantastic bowlers currently. There was a great photo. It looked like a Vogue cover shoot of the 8 Pakistani fast bowlers in the squad. It was very good. Mohammad Abbas is a player. He's played for Leicestershire here in England as well. He loves the conditions. He's so successful, so consistent. Tell us a little bit about Mohammad Abbas.
He's quite an interesting character. I get along with him very well. We play our domestic cricket together for South Punjab. We've represented Multan Sultans together. His first tour to the Caribbean, I was a part of that as well. So I've always been very good friends with Mohammad Abbas. And it's interesting, he seems like that quiet, shy guy, always smiling, but he does have that competitive edge. It's funny that during the games, the practice games that we had, he came across as a bit of a sledger as well, and we give it back to each other. And when me and Imam were batting, it's quite interesting. He comes out like this nice guy, but when he's sledging, he's sledging. So he's quite an interesting character.
One of the kind of characters that's come out in this series, and it's been very unusual because we've not been able to speak to as many people the way we used to. But we've heard a lot of Mohammad Rizwan. Sort of behind the stumps, like quintessential Pakistani wicketkeeper, makes a lot of noise, and of course a real fighter with a very diverse stroke play. Actually, he can kind of rein it in when he needs to, but also be aggressive when he needs to. Tell us a little bit about Mohammad Rizwan.
Rizzi is probably, if I had to choose a few of the toughest people that I've ever been around in terms of playing the game, I think Rizzi would be one of them. The best thing about him is that he's always in the present. He's his belief is very strong, and he instills that belief in you as well. I think there have been a lot of times where I've been down and my go-to person has always been Rizzy. And the best thing about him is the thing that he tells me, and that's how he goes about his life, is that you put all the hard yards in practice. Effort is the only thing you have. And once you go out there, you leave it to the eternal power. And I think his belief is very strong, and he instills that belief in the team as well. He's quite an energetic character. He's always on about in the field. He's probably one of the most sort of energy-wise. His energy is always up.
You talk about playing in England and being in England. You've been here many times now, Shan, and familiar with everything. Is there any English phrase that always makes you laugh, or any accent that you find somewhat intriguing?
Yeah, I mean, I get all the accents, the Scouse accents. My brother's a huge Liverpool fan. I went to uni up north in Durham, so the Geordie accent over there. So I mean, yeah, all of that. There's also phrases in cricket that, because I played for my school team, for my university team. So there are also funny phrases like if there's somebody that goes into that's playing a game and actually does nothing with the bad ball, or does not field as well, he always gets a TFC. That's a thanks for coming. There's a lot of, the best thing about the English culture is there's a lot of banter, a lot of friendly banter, and it's nice to see it over here. People take things lightly.
You brought it up, Shan, so now you have to give us a taste of Shan Masood's Geordie accent.
Oh, I can't do that.
Come on.
I mean, when you hear the Yorkshire accent and Jeffrey Boycott saying rubbish, that's funny as well.
Well, yes, I'm not sure about that Jeff Boycott impression. Rubbish, I think. But it was fantastic to hear from Pakistan opener Shan Masood speaking to Atif Nawaz ahead of this game. And you can hear more in the latest Test Match special podcast. Go to BBC Sounds and you'll find our podcasts, including our daily review and the classic view from the boundary interviews. The umpires are readying themselves to come back out. Good news is that there's high cloud, but I don't think we're going to get rain imminently. Unfortunately, though, I do think light could become an issue, because Mark Ramprakash, who sat alongside me, has just clocked that this is a session that is due to last for 3 hours and a quarter, which would take us up to 7:30. Really quite long indeed. And 7:30 was fine yesterday, but then the skies were clear. I think if we got any cloud, I think bad light could be an issue before then. Andy Zaltzman.
Rams, you fielded in a famous marathon session in the MCG in 1998. That was about a 3-hour session.
Oh, mate, that was closer to 4, I think. And Dean Headley bowled brilliantly, bowled England to victory, but it just seemed to go on forever. I was just wondering, does that come into, I suppose, with Joe Root here, it's still a fairly straightforward decision. It's obviously to follow on, but in terms of fielders keeping the energy up, I mean, you always talk about fielders, trying to be enthusiastic and the movement in the field and cajoling bowlers, but it's quite difficult to maintain that over 3.25 hours. I guess if they bowl Pakistan out, of course, the new ball in the start of the second innings, but not easy.
I suppose, one day international innings is around about 3.25 hours. Didn't used to be. When you would have first started playing, when you were playing, say, Gillette Cup, Mark, you had a lunch and a tea break, didn't you? There was a lunch break with about 30 overs bowled, 35 overs bowled.
Quite right, too, as well. That was when cricket was civilised, and we had the NatWest was over 60 overs, yes. So you choose to try and 10:30 start and try and whip a few in before lunch, get up to maybe 38 overs, 40 overs in that first session, bit of lunch, and so the batters wouldn't want to get out before the interval, so you'd whip on a couple. I think we had John Embry and Andy Needham who used to whip through a few overs just before the break, and then afterwards you had that 20, just over 20 overs for so a lot of teams could lose momentum around that interval break, but it was a long old day, because of course, as you rightly say, then the second innings would start. You'd have another about 35 overs, and then there'd be tea. Yeah.
It's extraordinary. And there's, of course, the famous It would have been Gillette Cup in those days, the Lancashire match that ends at 9 o'clock. And was it against Gloucestershire? I forget. I think it was.
Well, Middlesex had a very late finish against Essex.
Bond.
I think it may have been 1983. It seemed to be a very finishing in the dark. Wayne Daniel bowling in the dark at Lords, I think, or was that against Kent? Yes. But those finals were. I missed that actually. I think it was a good competition. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was cricket's FA Cup, if you like.
Well, the knockout element was great, wasn't it? Actually, because it gave real jeopardy, and it was, it was. If you lost to the minor county, as happened occasionally, Yorkshire famously lost to a minor county. It was sort of front page news. It was magnificent.
Well, I've been to Ireland and lost twice with two different counties. I lost with Middlesex and Surrey in a knockout competition. So, mind you, Hansi Cronje was playing for Ireland, and he kind of got
very Irish
MOM. Yeah, he was brilliant.
Right. Well, the players are out there, and Broad is marking out his run because he's going to begin from our end, the broadcast end, with Pakistan 158 for 5. They battled back very well. Azhar Ali and Mohammad Rizwan. After the loss earlier today of Asad Shafiq, caught by a root at slip, bowling of James Anderson, and luckless Fawad Alam, who was caught by Buttler off the bowling of Don Bess. Hasn't had a lot of bowling to do in the last few Test matches, but he got one to turn into the outside edge, and a good sharp catch from Jos Buttler, who's had a terrific game. 150 with the bat, of course, and then that catch. And batsman marking getting a guard as well. Rizwan is going to be on strike. He has 22. Mohammad Rizwan, the keeper, has been there for 63 balls, and he's looked very solid. There haven't been many alarms. 2 slips, a gully, point, extra cover, mid-off, a wide mid-on, a mid-wicket about 10 yards in front of square. Sort of, it's an irksome position because he's not a mid-wicket and he's not a square leg, so you just have to take my word for it. He's halfway between the two, and a long leg. So Broad comes hurtling in to Rizwan for the first ball of this mammoth evening session, and it's full, driven back at him, and Broad stretches down a big right hand, stops the ball, and there's no run. Jonathan Agnew and I were on a balcony earlier having a little look at Jimmy Anderson, who just once or twice just took his right hand to his groin. We don't think there's any problem. Just having a look to see where he is.
Not sure where you're going with that, really.
Broad, it's a Rizwan who's driving this ball to the left of Woakes at wide mid-off, and there's one run. People, 159 for 5, Rizwan to 23. I was wondering if he may be carrying any kind of slight strain, perhaps. It might be impeding his movement. Can you see him? Is he he's not at mid-off, which is where he might be. And he's not at mid-on, where he also might be. He's not at mid-wicket, and he's not at the slips. Is he down at long leg? Broad is in, and praying around his front pad is Azhar Ali, and just turns this ball down to long leg, and they pick up one run.
It was Bracey at long leg.
It is Bracey, so I think Jimmy Anderson isn't out there.
Could be an issue, couldn't it?
You poo-pooed me there.
Well spotted, you. And,
well, I don't know. And it was Aggers is very sharp on these things, and
he was looking at
Jimmy's groin.
Hand. Yeah, the hand
and
going
the hand
to the groin.
Yes, he was eagle-eyed. But I wonder if there's just a little niggle there. I don't think we can see him out there at the moment. As Stuart Broad is in, and it's clipped away by Rizwan, a full ball on the pads into mid-wicket where Ollie Pope does the fielding, and there is no run. 160 for 5 Pakistan. They're still 423 behind. They need a further 224 to avoid the likelihood of the follow-on, given the poor weather forecast for the last day. But if England do get to enforce a follow-on, it could be a long couple of days in the field for them. Maybe interruptions tomorrow as Broad is in, and Rizwan defends solidly, slightly on the walk, but back up to the bowler. Broad fields off his own bowling. There is no run. 60.5 overs have been bowled, so a new ball will become available in about an hour and 20 minutes or so, around about 20 to 6. Our producer Adam Mountford showed me positive news of the clouds in the evening breaking up. It's just there is quite a bank of them over to the right. I don't think they're rain bearing, but they might be bad light bearing. As Broad is in, and Rizwan turns this around the corner off his knee down to the bracy at long leg. He fields. They pick up a run. Rizwan will keep the strike. He moves to 24. Pakistan 161 for 5. Joe Root's wearing Stuart Broad's second jumper. It's part of the COVID business. We were discussing off air during the tea break what travails there are for the selectors coming up as England ponder the makeup of their side out in wherever they may be playing, whether it be the UAE or India or Sri Lanka, wherever. So one thing's for certain, Mark, is that they'll want at least one more spinner. So someone's got to make way, and Ben Stokes has got to come back in. So someone else has got to make way.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, the proposed schedule, is it Sri Lanka and India at the moment?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, it seems highly unlikely that those matches will go ahead, do you think, in India?
Well, I think the UAE's been lined up as a potential venue if India itself can't be used. Jofra Archer's going to start up from the pavilion end, running in with the wind, and up on his toes goes Rizwan and defends this short delivery back at the wicket. Archer fields off his own bowling. There's no run.
Well, last time we went to the UAE, they were very, very flat wickets and nothing in there for the fast bowlers. On that occasion, Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid bowled in tandem. They were the spin duo, really, that England used. And you'd think whether it's UAE, India or Sri Lanka, yes, England will have to look at spin. I think last time we were in Sri Lanka, we played 3 spinners, actually.
Jofra Archer in again. He's cut away, short and wide, and it's smashed away to the boundary by Mohammad Rizwan. A fine shot. Got on top of it and guided it square of the wicket. Pope, who's just backward a square, at backward point, wasn't able to get across and cut it off. And Pakistan go to 165 for 5. Yes, I mean, I think in Sri Lanka it was particularly pronounced because Sri Lanka, when we did it on the Cricket Social, and Andy, I think Sri Lanka went in with just the one seamer, Suranga Lakmal, who was captaining. He didn't bowl a great deal. And they sort of rotated 4 spinners, I think. I think England did have 3, didn't they? As Archer is in again, and that's straighter, firmly pushed into the offside of the front foot square of the wicket. Sibley does the fielding, and there is no run. Whereas the UAE, I've got a feeling that actually Jimmy Anderson's got a surprisingly good record in the UAE, and he is nodding. Whether he'll be able to confirm the exact nature of that record.
I do remember him. I mean, both he and Stuart Broad bowled very accurately and very intelligently, and they put a lot of men in front of the wicket. And although there wasn't a lot of lateral movement, they bowled extremely well.
Archer in, that's firmly driven nicely, a full ball, straight drive, back past Archer. He tried to put a boot out to it. Don't know if he got anything on it, but the ball's now just plopped over the rope. It was as straight can be. That's a super shot from Rizwan. He's cut Archer and now he's straight driven him. He moves to 32.
He's been such a positive for Pakistan, Rizwan, in this series. He really has. He just seems to have grown in stature all the time. And already played a slap to square cut earlier in the over, and this one, a terrific straight drive back past Jofra Archer. So something for Jofra to think about after tea.
Reminds me a little bit of a pocket Ravi Bopara as he drives again to the left of Stuart Broad, the front foot. It's a very full delivery.
That was the biggest selling toy at last Christmas, wasn't it? The pocket Ravi Bopara.
Yes, I've got a couple. Yeah. one of them bowls and the other one bats. And both of them often get out caught in the gully. 169 for 5. Rizwan faces up and defends. Back of a length ball from Archer. Very well, very solidly. He's timing it terrifically out there. 169 for 5. 62 overs have been bowled. Azhar Ali has 83. Mohammad Rizwan going on very well after tea. He has 32. So, sorry, yes, Andy.
So England's bowlers in the UAE, Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad, have both played 6 tests there. 22 wickets for Anderson, averaged 20.5. 20 wickets for Broad, averaged 22.8. So they've both done extremely well there. In terms of England's spinners, Panesar and Swan had quite a good deal of success in the 2012 series in Pakistan against Pakistan in the UAE. 14 wickets for Panesar, 13 for Swan, both averaging in the 20s. But last time Rashid and Moeen Ali struggled considerably. Moeen 9 wickets at 48, Rashid 8 wickets at 69. So two tours have had rather different outcomes for England's spin attacks, but their seamers have been effective both times.
Which is a little curious, isn't it? It's not necessarily something you'd expect. As Broad runs in, and he gets a big appeal for LBW. He's struck on the pad. He loves it. He's turning imploringly to the umpire. I think it might have been sliding down the leg side, but there's nothing Stuart Broad can do because there are no reviews. The reviews were eaten up at the end of the 29th over. So a rather rueful look on Joe Root's face. It was a very full ball. It clattered into the pads. It was slightly stuck on the crease, Azhar Ali. And Broad had the full smile. He had the outstretched arms and the full smile indicating his expectation levels were extremely high. But Michael Gough has not obliged. I'd like to see the replay of that. I felt it was tailing down myself, but Hawkeye or ball tracking will be able to tell us. Broad in, and Azhar Ali drives nicely to a diving Jofra Archer who moved briskly to his left at wide mid-on to stop the ball. Another full ball on the pads. Yes, the ball is shown by ball tracking to be missing quite considerably. So it's an indicator that perhaps confidence in an appeal from Stuart Broad isn't necessarily going to correlate with the likelihood of the umpire raising his finger. Broad at the top of his mark. Just the 2 slips in the gully, 3 in the ring on the offside, 2 on the leg side. Runs in, and Azad drives nicely, but brilliant diving stop at extra cover from Dom Sibley, we've heard a lot about his fitness regime, and it seems to be paying dividends, because Dom Sibley I knew wasn't quite as brisk and nimble as that across the ground last year.
Yeah, no,
it's really got going,
good on him. I mean, we were talking about Michael Vaughan and getting players into this environment when they're young and trying to influence them and let them grow and learn off the other senior players. And Dominic Sibley certainly made strides forward in his athleticism.
Broad in, and Azad just turns this leg stump delivery round the corner down to long leg, where Bracey, I believe, is still positioned, because there is no sign of Jimmy Anderson, which is a little worrying if England want to take 15 wickets in a day and a bit. It's quite a heavy workload for the seamers, isn't it?
I mean, he's gone for Archer at the pavilion end and Broad at this end. And of course, if there is a doubt on Jimmy, then I'm surprised. They may have wanted to save a few overs there. Obviously, the second new ball not far away, and Dom Bess with an opportunity to get some more overs under his belt.
Broad runs in. Mohammad Rizwan defends on the front foot. Full delivery, probing delivery, but Rizwan is looking rock solid there. All parts of his game are working to perfection. Head, hands, feet and bat. 170 for 5, Pakistan.
Or, of course, Joe Root could look at himself to bowl a few overs here just to break that partnership. And Dom Sibley bowls a few leggies, doesn't he? I mean, no harm in just, perhaps not straight after the interval, but at some point to see those guys roll their arm over.
Broad in, and it's defended well by Rizwan from the crease. And he just taps the ball to the fielder, and there is no run. 170 for 5. Azhar Ali 84, Rizwan 32. He used the bowl quite a bit at Surrey, didn't he? I remember him opening the bowling, I think, in T20s sometimes. Yeah,
Dom Sibley, that's right. Leg breaks, and he's quite enthusiastic bowler, and why not? I said to David Milan when he was in the side, he bowls a few useful leggies now and again, and of course these batsmen wouldn't have seen him bowl too much. Dom Sibley, it's nice for a batsman, I think, to be able to do that. It just gives you something else to get involved with, and so Dom Sibley's got in at third slip and contributed there. He's fielded quite the last over. He did some good fielding at extra cover, and maybe he's a roll your arm over. You're just more involved in the game.
Yeah. Jofra Archer comes steaming in to Azhar Ali, and Azhar plays and misses at that. It was a little shorter, and just a little pushy, pokey prod with flat, unmoving feet. But the bat, mercifully for Azhar, He's in the end nowhere near the ball. I mean, let's face it, who were the two bowlers that dismissed Zach Crawley for 267 and Josh Buttler for 152? Asad, Shafiq and Fawad Alam. So
who would have thought?
Yeah, maybe they should have come on earlier. And England do have a lot of runs to play with, and potentially a lot of overs to be bowled. Jofra Archer in again, and that's defended solidly by Azhar Ali. Back of a length, pushed down to the offside. Dom Sibley runs in to collect that short extra cover, and there's no run. 170 for 5. Azhar still on 84. Rizwan 32. The sun resplendent and shining, as are the floodlights rather incongruously at the moment, but there is a big bank of cloud behind us, so they may become effective and useful later on. We shall see. As Archer's at the top of his mark now, runs in, and Azhar just defends again from the crease. Another short ball, rising ball around about waist to chest height, and pushed out into the covers, where again Dominic Sibley does the fielding.
Just coming back to that subject where you were talking about the winter and selection issues. Of course, England, the balance of their bowling attack is one thing, but the balance of the batting lineup as well. Now that Zach Crawley has established himself with that monumental score, who does Ben Stokes clearly comes back into the side. You know, they'll have to do a little bit of thinking there, because Joe Root, we know, would rather bat at 4 than 3.
Here's Archer again, and it's played off the hip by Azhar Ali. I don't know if he got any bat on it, but it's going to be a leg bye. It's worked to sort of backward square leg. A leg bye has been signalled, and Bess just trots round to his right to collect. 171 for 5. I mean, that is an issue, isn't it? When Moeen Ali was in the side, then it felt that you could have this great depth of batting, because he could be your frontline spinner. And then, you know, sort of in an ideal world, you might say to yourself, Spain, Sri Lanka, with a combination of Bess, Leach, Moeen, say, as next delivery's worked off the hip again, this time by Mohammad Rizwan. It was just a bit too leg-sidey, and it went down to Chris Woakes at long leg, who retrieves, throws in. One more to the total, 172 for 5.
You're absolutely right, Dan. I've got a feeling that in UAE, Moeen might have opened the batting, or batted 3. I'm sure Andy will let us know, but that was very much the equation. I mean, Moeen was certainly good enough to be in the top 6 as a batsman in Test cricket. I think he's got 5 or 6 Test hundreds.
Oh, he had 2 centuries in India on England's last tour there 4 winters ago, and he did open the batting in the UAE. Yeah. And in his last 10 Tests, 48 wickets at 25. Moeen Ali.
So that rather affects the balance, doesn't it? Here comes Archer again, and that's uppercut beautifully, actually, by Azhar Ali down to the third man boundary for 4. A quite deliberate shot up and over the slips, sort of through a kind of fourth slip region there was no fourth slip, and score advances to 176 for 5 after 64 overs. Azhar Ali 88, Rizwan 33. We think that Jimmy Anderson will be coming back onto the field ere long. In fact, that might be him now, is it? I think it is. You may have heard during the lunch interval, we played an excerpt from the Calling the Shots podcast, looking at the influence of TMS legends Brian Johnston and John Arlott. You may know that next month marks the 40 years since Arlott completed his final TMS commentary at the centenary match at Lord's. Though we are reminded that today marks the anniversary of Brian Johnston giving his last TMS commentary back in 1993 at the Oval. Anniversaries all round. As Broad is in, and forward in defence comes Mohammad Rizwan, pushes the ball back up the wicket. Broad half stops and then allows Jofra Archer to complete the job, and there's no run. Rizwan is looking impregnable here at the moment for England, and barely a ball has passed the bat, except the occasional mistake from Azhar Ali. Yes.
That boundary from Azhar Ali brought up the century partnership in 27.4 overs. Only the third 100 partnership in England have conceded in the 6 Tests this summer, and the highest was 105 between Shadab and Shan Masood in Manchester.
Thank you. Broad in, and Rizwan again defends. This ball's sort of leg stump, and he works it up on his front foot up to Jofra Archer at mid-on. There's no run. So going back to the composition of this side, if Stokes is playing, certainly for Sri Lanka, do you even need 2 extra seamers? Maybe just the 1 if you've got given. Are you able to give me a sort of workload of Sri Lankan seamers in that series? I mean, whether the pitches will be the same, you'll have to take some more seamers, won't you? But whether they'll get a game, as Broad is in, and Rizwan works his ball off his pads to short square leg, where Ollie Pope runs into field. There is no run. And then potentially allows you to, if Moeen Ali comes back in, you start to have quite a strong batting lineup, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do remember the first test in Gaul, a certain Ben Folks got 100 on debut, and the reason he played is because they wanted their best gloveman, because you do so much standing up to spin in very hot conditions, and it's such a skill standing up for long periods of time. So England went that way with their selection.
Broad in, Rizwan defends off the front foot slightly on the walk to short extra cover where Sibley feels there's no run. Now, if they go that way as well, then does Buttler play as a specialist batsman, given that he's scored 416 runs this summer, more than anyone apart from Crawley, who got 417. Crawley plays. We can't fit all these players in, Mark. Well, it's a 13-man team.
It's such a nice thing to be talking about, though, because I think there's very healthy competition for places. I think that Sibley and Burns have done pretty well, haven't they? Good starts to their Test careers, and you're going to get low scores as a top order batsman, and Burns and Sibley have taken that in their stride, but they've both got hundreds, and Ollie Pope as well has had an excellent start to his Test career for someone so young. So it's really nice for England to have these this competition for places. Very healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the big pressure might come at the very top of the order there, because Crawley has opened in first class cricket a fair bit, so if they wanted to fit in another bowler further down, that might be how they might do it, as Broad is in and is driven off the thick inside edge, or the inside half of the bat, really, I should say, up to Jofra Archer at mid-on, and there is no run.
The other thing about playing in those conditions is sometimes you want to be quite proactive against the new ball, because that is when the ball is hard, it comes onto the bat before the spinners can come on, and so that may be a consideration as well, as that Crawley in there to open, and he's a hard guy to bowl at, isn't he? Gets well forward, but also very strong off the back foot.
Broad in to complete his over, and Rizwan pulls, but with no timing, and just sort of plops out into the onside. But the field is deep set back there. Ollie Pope couldn't make it in from the boundary, neither could Jofra Archer from mid-on, to prevent the ball being unretrieved for long enough for a signal to be taken. 177 for 5. Azhar 88. Rizwan has 34. And yes, I can see Jimmy Anderson down there. I'm imagining we won't see much of him before a new ball becomes available, which is in about 16 overs time. Have you got those bowling stats and data for me, Andy?
Yes, so it's the series late in 2018 in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's seamers bowled 57 overs and their spinners 452.
57 over the course of 3 test matches.
Yeah, and England's seamers bowled 101 overs and England's spinners 381.4. So both sides dominated by spin, but Sri Lanka particularly so.
So, I mean, if you're thinking of bowling, what that is roughly for England 33 overs of seam per match. You could do that with 2 bowlers, can't you?
Yeah,
that's 6.
Yeah.
And one of them can be Stokes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jack Leach bowled very well in Sri Lanka, actually, was probably the most steady of all the spinners.
Archer in, that's guided nicely by Mohammad Rizwan, away from his body, but he got it right off the middle of the bat. It was shortish and wide. He guided it to backward point, but straight to backward point. And Pope Field says no run. Yeah, it's you could sort of see that being the make-up. So then you've got the all-rounder of Stokes. You've got one seam bowler, which, I mean,
take your pick.
Yeah. Is that is that where you take Archer because he's a point of difference on those kind of wickets? Archer in, defended by Rizwan slightly around his pad, pushes the ball back up the wicket, and there is no run. And then you might have 3 spinners, and they might be Leach, Bess, and one other, which could, I suppose, be Moeen. People talking about Adil Rashid.
It's quite nice to have one of each, isn't it? I mean, just purely from a variety point of view, and the fact that Adil and Leach have bowled a lot there before, that's good experience for them. But I mean, Adil, I think, does have to play some first-class cricket or some longer format cricket to prove his fitness.
Archer in, short, and that is an uppercut. I think that's authentic. It looks like an edge because it went straight to where a backstop might be. But I think he played that deliberately with a little flourish. Rizwan starting to unfurl some shots here. He moves to 38 with that boundary. Pakistan 181. It was banged in short by Archer, and he's very deliberately gone for the up and over. And ordinarily, when you see that, tends to go a little bit wider, as it did the previous over. But this time, it went dead straight over Jos Buttler's head and down to the boundary for 4.
And that is now the highest partnership against England this summer. 106.
Yeah.
Well, it was a brilliant shot, wasn't it? It reminds me of Alan Knott doing that
yes.
way back in the 70s. You see, they talk about innovation. he was ramping it over the slips in those days with his cap on.
Dennis Lilly used to do it a bit as well, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Did that
Yeah.
the ramp shot.
But it just shows Rizwan's confidence. You know, he's come in. I mean, he had an action-packed walk to the wicket, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. But
Right.
it looked like he was... well, I mean, people may have remember Robin Smith when he used to go to the wicket, used to do a lot of jumping around and, get the feet going and all of that. He was... someone said he was auditioning for the next Captain Marvel film.
Oh,
He was
sort of like a boxer coming into the ring. sort of
goodness
thing, yeah.
me, there were pull shots, cut shots over the top. It was brilliant, absolutely wonderful,
Including the uppercut, I hope. Here is Archer. He's got the ball back in his hands now. It's wider and fuller and left alone by Rizwan, shouldering arms through to the keeper. 181 for 5. It'll be very interesting to see. I mean, the problem at the moment is we're speculating, but we have no idea where England's next Test match is going to be.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of players who won't have played an awful lot of cricket. It's not easy to arrange it. One thing I do think will be interesting is if we see more inter-squad matches. I think the preparation for both Pakistan and the West Indies has been pretty good by playing against each other. I wonder if England will adopt that approach in future. As Archer is in, Rizwan defends with a slightly angled bat, bullish ball, and guides it into the gully region where Zach Crawley lurches to his right and collects the ball. There is no run. 181 for 5. 1 ball left in the 66th over. Pakistan proceeding without alarm. Azhar Ali 88, Mohammad Rizwan 38, and the ball's not really doing much. Not really beating the bat. There's not a lot in the wicket to suggest unevenness or deterioration. And this is a pitch we were told that hadn't had a lot of preparation time. As Archer is in, that is edge. That's an authentic edge. Past a diving Crawley at gully. It's not going to make it to the boundary. It will be picked up by Ollie Pope. 2 more to the total. With that, Rizwan moves to 40. That's pretty much the one false shot he's played since tea. Pakistan 183 for 5 after 66 overs. I'm going to Andy Zaltzman. We're going to need an emergency stat because there's a double change in the commentary box and I am talking slowly so that you can set one up.
Right. Well, we've talked a lot about Jimmy Anderson's progress towards 600 wickets, and Atif was talking about how his overall career average has come down gradually since that difficult early start, averaging 39 in his first 20 tests. I've broken his career up into various phases. So those first 20 tests from his debut in 2003 up to the end of the Sri Lanka series at the end of 2007, 62 wickets at 39. Then over the next 2 years, 26 tests, 94 wickets at 31. Then he had a really good period, 2010 to the end of the 2011-12 winter, 102 wickets in 22 test average 23. Then a slight dip for a couple of years, 2012 until the first test against India in 2014 on a featherbed at Trent Bridge. 27 tests, 101 wickets, average 31. Then the real golden period of Anderson from the next game against India at Lords, a game which England lost to the end of the 2017 summer, when he took his 500th wicket against West Indies. 34 tests, 147 wickets, averaged 19.7, and since then not quite as spectacular but still very good. 91 wickets, averaged 23 in 27 tests. So we saw a difficult early start, gradual improvement, and then really since 2010, with a couple of years when he slightly dipped from 2012 to 2014, he's been absolutely exceptional by any historic standards.
Thank you, Andy. Very good, yes. Round of applause. Afternoon, Atif.
Well, afternoon, Tuffers. How are you?
Very well.
Well,
Atif Bey.
Thank you very much. Wow, what an honour. Thank you, Tuffers Bey. In comes Bess, this time played into the onside for no run.
I like that.
It's quite nice, isn't it? It's just a little show of respect. You've heard it with the, Wasim Akram floating around and everybody calls him Wasim Bhai and I'm pulling Azhar Bhai. It's just a way of showing respect in Pakistani culture. Lovely. You stick a little brother on the end. Bhai means brother. In comes Bess to The other Azhar Ali plays it into the onside. Batted well today, 88 not out.
Doing it well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Get stuck in.
Big
Captain's
partnership as well for Pakistan. Biggest of the series, according to Andy Stat.
Yep, doing it well.
As Bess comes in, slip in place, short leg in place, a fuller delivery swept hard into the gap in the leg side. The fielder will come around to it, gets there, and another 2 to Azhar Ali's score. He moves on to 90 now. I'll be counting down these last 10 runs to this ton. It's a big performance, really, considering the amount of pressure and scrutiny he's been under of late.
Absolutely.
Nice evasive action at short leg there as well. That ball was rocketing towards Ollie both there.
Yeah, and he's found a good foil in Rizwan, hasn't he?
Absolutely, the aggressive intent shown by Rizwan in supporting his captain as Bess comes in once again, just back of a link this time, worked off the back foot. 2 short leg for no run, 185 for 5. Still a long way behind England's score here. Pakistan 398 adrift of England's total, but aiming for respectability at the moment to fight their way back into this game. Bess in once again, good length, just outside the off stump, played with one hand by Azhar Ali into the offside for no run. Interesting passage of play, Tuffers. I noticed you picked up a bit of Mark Ramprakash's post a little bit earlier, Tuffers.
No, I didn't know my old mate Ramps was an MBE.
MBE, Mark Ramprakash MBE. We'll have to remember that. Yeah. As in comes Bess, full delivery this time, played off the face of the bat, only to point for no run. Have you got any honours next to your name, Tuffers?
I'm a doctor.
Ah.
Yes, I'm a doctor of Middlesex University.
Lovely.
Yeah, so if you need any neurophens or anything, I'll be man.
What was your thesis in, Tuffers?
I'm not sure. They gave it to me. I think for Strictly Come Dancing or something.
Lovely.
I'm not quite sure.
As long as you got the paperwork, that's all that matters.
Yes, I had to put the hat on and the old gown and went down there. It was a very nice day, actually. I was honoured. I was quietly chuffed.
Took my wife 4 years of hard slog to get a doctorate.
I just turned up.
Prancing around in sequins for a couple of months.
I think it was something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but I took it. It was nice. It was funny, actually, because I think India were playing, and we had Sunil Gavaskar in the commentary box. And I think I came in the next morning very pleased with myself, Might have let a few people know that I've, received my doctorate and what have you. And I went, morning, Sonny, and everything. Oh, morning, Tuffers. Got a doctorate yesterday. He said, I've got 50. I think that's right. I think he's got 50, Sunil Gavaskar.
Every university in India just really wanted to meet Sunil Gavaskar.
I think so.
Would really like to spend some time with the little master. We'll give him a doctorate if that's okay.
Yes.
My word. Well, it beats 4 years of tuition fees, I'll tell you that.
Well, there you go. It made my little one seem a bit paltry. But there you go. I'll take it.
No, it's quite the achievement.
Yeah.
185 for 5 here at Southampton. Just got a little glimpse of the Pakistan T20 squad playing some scenario-based games on the second pitch here in Southampton. That series will kick off later this week, and next week, of course, we'll be live on the BBC on television, bringing you that coverage. So tune in for that. In comes Jofra Archer, short stuff.
Who's
to Rizwan through to keep a no run.
Who are we looking out for
in the Pakistan team?
Yeah,
I'd keep an eye on Haider Ali. He's been very exciting for the Multan Sultans in the PSL. Is Khushdil, who's very good. Iftikhar, who you don't get to see a lot of, but in his 8 games already made an impression, averaging 55, big hitter. And of course the likes of Mohammad Amir, Wahab Riaz, the names that we recognise a little bit. You'll see them all in action. World number 1 T20 side, so England will have their work cut out at Old Trafford.
Rizwan keeping?
Sorry?
Rizwan keeping?
Well, it'll be between him and Sarfraz, and there's mixed thoughts on that as Archer comes in with a short one to Rizwan through to giving a run. Well, I mean, so Azhar Mahmood reckons that Sarfraz Ahmed will get the games.
Okay.
But there's definitely there's definitely a case to play him. The younger man, maybe you want to rest him. I'm not sure. You do have Zimbabwe coming up next month, but I feel like he'll want to play those games.
Sure.
They haven't brought in any other reserve keepers with them in the squad, but there are a few part-timers who could take the gloves if needed. Archer in once again outside the off stump, left alone by Rizwan.
No slip.
Slip in place. Yeah, first time today. No slip in place.
It's a little feather in the cap of the 2 batsmen. Obviously the partnership, you just sort of tick these little things off, don't you?
It's worth 110 now, this partnership.
Yeah, and no slip.
No, good scoring rate as well, 3.54, this partnership. There is a really, really fine third man and a wideish third man as well, as in comes Archer. Another short delivery, this time a little bit late on the duck, Rizwan, but just got there just in time. A lot of encouragement for Jofra Archer in the field as well. There is,
Yeah,
in fact, there's two men out in the deep leg side as well. Fine leg and a sort of squarish deep backward square leg as well.
Mid-wicket, square leg and a short leg. So it's a bit of leg theory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Short balls, blast to 2 or 3 overs.
A bit of telegraphing going on here. As in comes Jofra Archer and bowls a length ball outside off stump. Well, that's the one thing that he didn't have his field set for.
Little bluff.
Left alone by Rizwan. He's on 40 from 94 deliveries. Batted well alongside his captain Azhar Ali, who's on 90 not out at the moment. He'll be eyeing up a test century.
He's not shy of going big either, is he, Azhar Ali? When he does get in.
Yeah, he's got a triple century to his name.
Yeah.
2 other double centuries and 2 more 150s.
Yeah.
16 tons in total. He'll be looking for his 17th there. He hasn't scored one since December last year in Rawalpindi against Sri Lanka. And that time 4 Pakistani batsmen got tons in the same innings. So that was something quite rare for Pakistan. Now Archer just holding up in his run-up, just making the batsman wait a tiny bit. And he comes now to Rizwan. Short outside the off-stump, cut to the squarer of the 2 third-man fielders. And he'll pinch the strike, so Azhar will hang about on 90 a little bit longer. 186 for 5 Pakistan after 68 overs. The ball a little bit older now, not quite bouncing as much. Batting getting a little bit easier.
Yeah, without doubt. And as England showed, 120 odd for 4, I think they were. Then Crawley came together. Yeah, so Pakistan can take a bit of heart from that. If you do apply yourself, get stuck in and try to weather the storms, there are no real demons in this pitch. I think England will be eyeing up the new ball. What is it? 12 away?
Yeah, closing in on that. They'll just be trying to whittle the time away. Rizwan on strike, taking guard again. He's done this 2 consecutive overs there, taking guard.
Fidget.
Needs to maybe needs to pop one of the bells off and do that style of guard taking.
Chanderpaul.
There you go. In comes Bess now. He bowls, lots of flight given and pushed into the offside for no run by Rizwan. There's a bit of rain at Radlett, sadly, so the Bob Willis Trophy South Group match that I've got my eye on.
Oh right, yes.
Is temporarily
How's
delayed.
Sea-Axis doing?
They're doing okay. As in comes Bess, a bit short at that time, cut nicely by Rizwan. It's racing away through the covers towards the boundary. It is a slow outfield there, but the ball will not be hitting the rope. In fact, Chris,
nicely
Broad,
drawn out.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what I do. Non-committal now, as they call me. He just pulled the ball in before the ropes. 3 runs to Rizwan. There he's into the 40s as well. Yeah, so Middlesex 117 runs behind Sussex. Sussex got 293 in their first innings. Middlesex 176 for 7.
Ooh.
But with my eye on the young man, 18-year-old debutant Blake Cullen. In comes Bess now. As Azhar forward in defence. No run.
How's he getting on? What is he batting now?
He's on 24 from 87 deliveries.
Oh, getting stuck in.
Yeah, he got 2 wickets earlier as well in the game. So one to keep an eye on, Blake Cullen.
Yeah.
Hounslow boy.
What's he bowl?
I'll tell you more about him in just a second. After I tell you that Bess is in, and this time defended into the onside for no run. Yeah, he's a fast medium bowler.
Good.
So he gets it up into the 80s and
nice.
maybe with a bit of training get it through a little bit quicker. But a lot of hype about the young man, a lot of expectation. Played under 19s for England as well, so certainly a prospect for the future.
Yeah.
Blake Cullen. John Bess in again, good length, and once more shown respect by Azhar on the front foot. No run.
Well, he's at a very good club.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't hope for a better county, young man. Azhar Ali into his 90s. There'll be a bit of nerves about this performance. He knows 100 would just give that extra little clap back to those critics. One tossed up by Bess, this time driven through the covers, beautifully struck by Azhar Ali. It might not get all the way to the boundary. In fact, it won't, but they will come back for 3, and they'll make it back with ease. So he will retain the strike. Azhar on 93 now, and He'll face up to the next over, presumably from Jofra Archer. 192 for 5, Pakistan. And the partnership continues to grow.
Yeah.
England won't get too worried about this at this stage, will
Well, no. But as you say, they'll have half an eye on that new ball. As we saw in England's innings, when that ball gets a bit old, there isn't a great deal in it. The odd one did it, and will do it, but quite low, quite slow. Little bit of turn, but it's a pretty good wicket, as 583 suggests.
You don't get too many 583s on a
green top.
green top. No, I suppose not.
No. So Pakistan will want to make sure these two are at the crease when the new ball comes along, because you'll see Anderson warming up and wanting to swing it about.
And there we go, Jofra Archer coming in now to Azhar Ali on the back foot. He drives straight down the ground, and they'll take the first one quickly. They think about a second, but it's, Jimmy Anderson's quickly to the ball. Just the single taken. Azhar on to 94 now. 193 for 5 Pakistan. And Jofra Archer, he's looked threatening at times, but he's had slightly difficult conditions and obviously an older ball to bowl with. He's gone for 52 from his 15.1 so far.
Yeah, he'll be eyeing up a wicket for his toil.
And he comes out to Rizwan, short stuff. Again, Rizwan ducks underneath it through to the keeper. Not as much carry in that delivery, I noticed. 88 miles an hour though. Still a lot of pace.
Yeah, for sure. But Joe Root has been saying that we want him to come in and bowl short, sharp spells and really get it through and everything. Don't want to just keep banging it in, sure. I think Archer's short delivery was almost, when it's a surprise ball, it gets you in trouble.
And he comes again once more, this time short again, this time glided to the fielder at short third man, no run scored. Flew off the face of the bat, that last delivery. He's really bending his back, Jofra Archer, at the moment, hitting the high 80s with every delivery at the moment.
Yeah, he's got some pace.
He's showing it as well.
Yeah, but she just don't. Yeah, he's a better bowler than just steaming in and wanging it round the batsman's head. He's got more craft. Although he's having a little go round the wicket, so the short stuff will continue.
Absolutely. Still those two men out in the deep on the leg side, and a bit of protection at third man for Jofra Archer. No slips in place, but the field seems to telegraph more persistent short pitch bowling. He did pin one on Rizwan's grill a little bit earlier today, so that'll be at the back of his mind.
Yeah, but that was the surprise ball.
In comes Jofra Archer once again, just full of the length this time, pushed into the covers. Loud call of no from Rizwan. No run.
A lot of time for Rizwan just to rock on that back foot. He's seeing it well now. Lights have come on.
Yeah, it's both men eyeing up just 6 runs adrift, both of them, from mini milestones here. Century for Azhar, 50 for Rizwan. He's had a good series, Rizwan. Didn't get too many Old Trafford, but a really impressive 72 in that rain-affected and light-affected game here at Southampton. In comes Jofra Archer, another short delivery, comfortably ducked underneath by Rizwan. Just goes for a little walk, keeps his concentration, Rizwan. Got a fielder not too far away from him, a deepish set short leg. Looking for that one that just pops off the top edge. A little bit of staticness to this England field at the moment. Not too much movement, not too much excitement. Almost like a holding pattern. As in comes Jofra Archer, another short delivery, this time guided off the face of the bat into the covers. They thought about a quick single and then changed their mind. And so that ends the over. 193 for 5 Pakistan. Rizwan on 44, Azhar on 94.
I like this because there is a bit of cloud. I mean, there's some blue sky in the background, but this cloud has sort of come over and sat above us. So the light is starting to dip, but no sign of that pink light meter, which is good. The umpires aren't even sort of like giving each other a little look, which they usually do. So I think they're looking to just crack on, which is good.
Yes, a lot of overs still to come today, in theory. 38 more overs remaining in the day's play.
Yeah, this is the long session, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot to bowl here.
3.25 hours, I think.
That's right. Oof. Bess now in once again, a little bit shorter this time, tucked around the corner by Azhar Ali. Takes the first one quickly. thought for a second about a second one, but then settled into it, turned it into an agreed single. He moves on to 95. Pakistan 194 for 5.
I think he just needs to work a little bit on his consistency, Bess. You know, as a spin bowler, he should be just running up, and it should be second nature just to keep hitting that length.
In he comes again, Bess. Down the track comes Rizwan. He smashed that down the ground.
There, isn't it? No, it's not.
Oh, yeah. And it's cleared the ropes. And what a way to get to your 50. A huge 6 from Rizwan. Over long off for a 50. He raises his bat. Applause from his teammates. A superb counter-punching innings from Rizwan. His third Test 50 in 9 matches. Second in consecutive matches. And, well, this is a player to watch. Very, very impressive with the gloves earlier and very handy with the bat. 50 for Mohammad Rizwan. Tell us about it, Andy.
Well, that was his first 6 in Test cricket. His 50 came up from 103 balls. He's also hit 5 fours.
In comes Bess now to Rizwan, who attempted to cut that, almost bottom edged it through to the keeper, getting a bit carried away, a bit of rush of blood to the head. Go on, Andy.
And he's sort of curious that he's the first Pakistan wicketkeeper to have 2 50s in a series against England.
Wow.
In any Test series between the two countries.
In comes Bess once again. Plenty of flight given this time. The ball pushed into the offside. They thought about a single. Almost had enough time for it by the time they thought about it all the way. No run.
Came down the wicket quick there, didn't he, to get to that pitch of Bess. It was quite a good delivery on and around that off stump. But if you're going to come down quick, and he did. Light on his feet, followed through. Great shot to get your 50.
It's batted really well, Rizwan. Bess in once again. This time Rizwan just pushes the ball again to that fielder at point. No run there. It's good tight bowling. This from Bess. You're right, he just gives you that one release ball, doesn't he, where you can just attack him a little bit more, and batsman like Rizwan's going to go after him. He does still have the 2 attacking fielders in play.
He just gives you that short ball once in a while.
And he comes once again, this time pushed into the offside. Fuller length that time. That's the end of the 71st over. 200 for 5 Pakistan. Azhar Ali on 95 not out. Rizwan on 50. After a few thoughts from Dr. Phil Tufnell, we're going to have Isha Guha.
Andy. Oh no, you've just given us a couple of stats there, haven't you?
Yeah. You're going to have to come up with some emergency punditry stuff.
Yeah. Well, these two are doing it well, that's for sure. Still trailing by 383, which is a long way away, but these two are showing some resilience on a pitch that seems to have flattened out. Not doing much each either.
Just on Bess, you might have something. We talked about the effectiveness of off-spinners to right and left-handed batsmen. In his first-class career, Bess averages around about 33 against right-handers, 23 against left-handers, and we've seen with bowlers like Graham Swan, I think, averaged 37 against right-handers in Test cricket, 21 against left-handers. How big an issue is that for a young off-spinner like Bess?
Well, I mean, you've got to bowl at both, haven't you? It's as simple as that, and we've been saying all summer that perhaps Jack Leach has been a little bit hard done by. 10 right-handers in the West Indies batting line-up, and a lot of right-handers in this Pakistan line-up, but you've got to hold a good attacking line for an off-spinner to the right-hander, so you threaten both edges. He's done all right, but he'll want that average to come down for sure. Ish.
Gentlemen, good evening to you. I reckon I've worked out my technique, Phil.
Oh, to what? For what?
6 Test matches. It's taken for me to work out how to plug this in properly.
I know. Yeah. You've got to work on it in the nets.
Quick and efficient.
Yeah.
I was in there. I was ready to go.
Well, we've now got a big arrow here that's been given on the desk, which is actually pointing.
This is how you plug it in.
Yes. Have you got a big arrow there as well? Yes. There you go. You see,
can't miss it.
No. I remember when I had my knee surgery, I was a little bit worried because they came in and I was lying there, sort of. I just had my pre-op or whatever, and they came in with like a big marker pen and did that big arrow on the correct leg, which I was having the operation.
I'm glad it was on the right leg.
Yeah, well, exactly. I know, but I thought I was a little bit concerned.
We've got a change of bowling here. Woakes from the pavilion end as Azhar Ali defends back down the pitch, replacing Jofra Archer. He's got 2 slips and a gully. Point extra mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a man down at fine leg.
Gone in there for a bit of knee surgery. could have whipped the appendix out or something. I would have thought they would have had a bit of records or something.
Oh, do you reckon that's
big
actually happened
outlook.
somewhere in the world?
Oh, without doubt.
You reckon?
Yeah, right, yeah, probably. Yeah, but I was thankful that they got the right leg.
Azhar Ali, the determined Pakistan captain on 95, pushes back past Chris Woakes, hits the stumps at the other end, but Woakes doesn't get any finger on it.
And then I think I could just remember as I was sort of going down, my last words were, "It's the right one." And then I went,
It's the right one or the right one?
well, there you go.
That could be misinterpreted.
Yes, that would have been. Yeah. What? The arrow's on the right one, or it's the right one? Oh no. Yeah, no, that's right. Tricky. Yeah.
Azhar Ali hovering towards second slip, back and across. Pats it back to Chris Woakes, who's fielding it with his left hand.
Making it look easy, isn't he? Azhar, he looks in fine form.
Was that Crawley and Josh Buttler made it look easy?
Correct.
This partnership, though, the second highest partnership in the match, and also the first time these two batted together, which I thought was an interesting stat.
Yeah.
Similar for Crawley and Buttler as Azhar Ali. Looks down the pitch to Woakes, who's bowling onto his hip. He works it out to the deep square boundary. He'll pick up a 4 here. Edges ever closer to those 3 figures. 99 now for Azhar Ali, 204 for 5 and trailing by 379.
Yeah, that's where he's so good, isn't it? So good. If he can just get over that initial period when he sort of plays around that front pad and he looks a bit vulnerable to balls nipping back, once he gets to that 20 or 30, anything around sort of middle of leg stump, it seems just so easy to knock it through that leg side. Perfect timing. 99.
The ball gets tossed around the field. Bess having retrieved it from the boundary. And Woakes circles at the top of his mark now. Looks to push away, then stops. And retreats. Here he comes. On angle. Azhar Ali on the front foot defending. Just turns his bat ever so slightly. It finds its way to mid-wicket. No run. A wonderful effort for the Pakistan captain. 201 balls that he's faced. Been out there a while. All sorts of pressure on his shoulders. The captaincy. There's a lot of talk after that loss up at Manchester.
Yeah.
And they're in a winning position. Woakes bowl speeds the edge as it goes through to Josh Buttler. That was mightily close to the outside edge. Azhar Ali looking to play. A good length delivery outside the off stump.
First one he's had a little fiddle at outside off stump, isn't it? Great delivery, great line, great length. Just a little bit of away movement. Went after it a bit. Head thrown back by Chris Woakes. He knows that was close. Oh, what a blow of the lips. Puff of the cheeks by the Pakistan captain on 99.
Scored 2 centuries against England previously. Azhar Ali, 157, the highest score of those two in Dubai back in 2011-12. Just averaging 29 against this opposition. So Rizwan will continue on 50 against the off-spinner Bess, just rearranging his field, asking deep square to move slightly squarer.
You just get the feeling that Rizwan's itching a bit to Bess. I mean, he played that great shot to get his 50 with a 6 coming down the wicket, but you just feel that he's going to play through skipper. It feels like alien to him, sort of playing this defensive role.
Bess is through his action. Gets the outside part of the bat as Rizwan looks to defend. It goes to short third. Stuart Broad runs around and collects the ball, diving, swooping and throwing it in one motion, running around from point. They come through for 1. Rizwan to 51 then. Pakistan 205 for 5, trailing by 378.
Right, I don't give him an easy single. Bring that, that's good captaincy. Don't let him just knock you into that square leg and get his 100. Try and apply some pressure. Might even be worth bringing the deep wicket in as well. Perhaps getting one in front of him in his face. Perhaps silly pointed here.
They've heard you.
I still got it.
You should have bowled spin for England, Phil, as Dom Sibley comes into the ring. His best bowls to Ali, who's forward and covering the ball. Just pops it back to Don Bess.
I'd just like to see a little bit more pressure in him. He's only going to be looking to go forward, you know, trying to nick a single. Perhaps one in that short leg or silly point.
Bess.
Sweep.
A couple of skips before he's into his stride bowls, and another defensive shot from Azhar Ali as he just turns the bat after he plays it. Zach Crawley comes in to fetch the ball. So there's a point, there is a gap at cover. Yep. Slip in position, extra cover mid-off. Packed leg side field as Bess bowls. Ali drives past that man. That extra cover out to the boundary. A huge roar from the Pakistan dressing room. Azhar Ali turns to go. He signals to the skies. He punches his bat in the air. He removes his helmet and now raises his bat to his Pakistan teammates. His 17th Test 100. And what a moment for him.
Yeah, well played, skipper. Well played, Azhar Ali. You can see what it means to the side. You hear them clapping and shouting. They're all out on the balcony. It's a fantastic knock, a real captain's knock. Really had to apply himself and get stuck in. That'll mean a lot to him.
Gets on his knees and kisses the ground. Now up on his feet. Helmet comes back on. He's moved to 103. Slightly fuller delivery outside the off stump. Yep. He gets his left foot right to the pitch of the ball and smiles on the faces of his Pakistan teammates. What a moment as Bess will continue from the northern end. Ball's a bit flatter this time to Ali, who's smothering the ball back down the track.
It might be worth just coming around the wicket, perhaps Don Bess. It's not really leaping out of any rough holes or footmarks, just perhaps trying to run one past the outside edge, and then if one does turn, you're going to LB.
Bowls now to Ali, who's clipping to square leg. Comes through for a one, that fielder having just moved back to fine leg to allow that single. End of the over then. Ali to 104. A man who's been under all sorts of pressure. What a way to make his intentions known and make a statement at the end of this series. Andy.
Azhar Ali's 17th Test 100 came from his 205th ball with his 15th four. That's his third 100 against England, his second as captain. It's the 6th 100 by a Pakistan captain in England. And in all, it is the 400th century for Pakistan in Test cricket.
Oh, nice.
And looking at the shape of the innings, very cautious start, 29 off 112, then moved to his century with 74 off just 93 balls.
He's looked in great nick, didn't he? Did the hard yards and is now getting the benefit.
Yeah, resolute in defence. Bided his time and has just picked off the runs. Firstly starting with the singles and then the boundaries came. 2 slips in a gully, then in position for Chris Woakes, who Azhar Ali will be facing up to, bowling from the pavilion end, running towards us. Ali leaves outside the off stump. Still a gloomy feel here at the Ageas Bowl. Lights are on. They have been for most of the day. Clouds moving quite swiftly towards us. A bit of brightness over to our left, but the sun is hidden behind the clouds. There was a handshake between Misbah al-Haq and Yunus Khan as the Pakistan captain got to his century. Woakes bowls a slower ball. Felt like it came out really slowly.
Yeah,
took an age to get to Azhar Ali, but he picks it and just plops his left foot forwards and defends.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The odd slower ball, you don't see a lot of it in Test cricket from the seamers, do you? But that was a genuine slower ball. Azhar Ali just saying to Rizwan, spotted it.
70 miles an hour, that one. As Woakes bowls, Azhar Ali defends solidly to cover, no run.
let's see how England are going to get him out at the moment. I mean, it looks in great nick, front foot, back foot, cutting and pulling.
New ball available in
Yes.
7 overs.
Yes, makes a difference, doesn't it? That's what England will be hoping to get a breakthrough with.
They like to retain some control as they get to that second new ball. As Ali
Oh,
again is
another slower
defending, another
ball.
slower ball. It's,
Okay.
again, a very deliberate defence from Azhar Ali. He's making sure he's watching it all the way onto his bat. He doesn't want to make any mistakes, having reached his century. Woakes with the ball back in his hands. Well manicured beard that Woakes possesses at the moment. He's past the stumps. It's the outer part of the bat as he squares Azhar Ali up. Good length delivery on about off stump, looking to play a lot straighter. Finds its way to extra cover. No run. As he just comes down the track now and has a quick word to his partner, Mohammad Rizwan. What a fine partnership it's been between these two.
Yep. Really good.
As he spins the bat in his hands. Taps it a couple of times on the ground before raising it. Woakes bowls. Ali again covering the top of off. Comes forwards and gets behind the ball with an angled bat. Back down the pitch. Hands on hips for Stuart Broad. I think he's getting frustrated. Pakistan 210 for 5 then, trailing by 373. Azhar Ali on 104 and Mohammad Rizwan on 51. Pakistan will know that if they can just bat through the day, there is some rain to come tomorrow and on Tuesday, which might just, it will take some time out of the game, and they can try and survive and take the draw. Championship points up for grabs, of course, Test Championship points. So there is an added incentive for Pakistan as the players take drinks. England gather together and there'll be plenty of chatter about how they can extract this wicket. A reminder, you can watch the highlights of today at the Test at 7 p.m. We're available on the iPlayer. Video clips on the website now as well, if you'd like to take a look at that. As Michael Vaughan has come in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
That's a tremendous 100. So pleased for Azhar Ali. He's one of the real good guys of the game. Very humble. And he's been under pressure, particularly. I mean, we haven't seen probably as much as it here, but apparently back home in Pakistan, all the ex-players and the blogs and the radio shows have been hammering Azhar Ali and his captaincy and his position as captain in the side, because he's not been scoring enough runs. His tactical manoeuvres in that first test at Old Trafford, well, he's showed a huge amount of mental resilience, but it's his technique that's allowed him to play in this fashion. He's just had a better technical movement with that front foot that's allowed him to access those straighter balls better. And when he gets into this kind of form, he has a habit of going big. A triple century before. Good effort to get one from here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it would be. All of the England players pretty much down on one knee. I think Ollie Pope is the only one standing up.
Why is that? What are they doing? They're all just stretching the hip flexors.
Yeah, it must be. Hip flexors. Well, Jofra Archer is on his backside, just leaning back. Anyway, a few more words from you, Michael. Just leaning back. Anyway, a few more words from you, Michael, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Well, you've got the England players down on the knee. You've got Azhar Ali having his looks like his hand treated to by the physio. You've got this one who's he's on his knees as well. You've got three umpires just having a conversation. You've got Rover Cam in amongst them. He's flying around. He's getting some good shots. It's like quite a long drinks break. Good afternoon, Aggers.
Hello. It's a bit of a tired scene down there, doesn't it? I think England's bowlers, when they do bowl Pakistan out, they've got to get out there and do it again, of course. So,
well, don't rule out them batting again, just for a session or so. I won't rule that out.
Wouldn't you?
No. just the modern game. It's something that a lot of the modern teams do in Test match cricket, just to give the bowlers a session's rest.
To get the forecast, though, that would condemn it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's I've seen it done quite often over the last few years, so I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I mean, England have got to try and get the wickets first.
Yeah.
And these two have played with so much clarity, control, great skill. I think the second new ball, it's due in 4 or 5 overs.
Yep.
That could just unlock the key, but I don't know, in the last 2 hours, Aggers, I don't know if you're like me, but I've watched them. The pitch hasn't done a great deal, and these are the kind of pitches that England are going to bowl on overseas, and it's almost exposed it a little bit. Jofra's running ball quickly, bowled great, a bit unfortunate not to get 1 or 2, but these are the conditions that they're going to find overseas, and they've got to find ways of getting wickets on these kind of wickets. The spinner has to just do a little bit more.
Trouble is, it's so damp. There's no reverse swing, is there?
There's nothing.
No,
there's nothing. Just 1 or 2 things. I'd just like to see Dominic Bess bowl without an extra cover just every now and again to try and force them to drive it through the offside.
Yep. And he's got a stat.
Well, just looking at Bess's day today, he had 1 for 7 from his first 6 overs, and Pakistan have attacked him very effectively since. His last 9 overs have gone for 47 runs.
Well, he's back at this end. This is where he got his wicket, and it's the ball that really spat, turned and lifted. It was to a left-hander, so it was out of the rough. But England will know, can I get 1 or 2 here and we're through? That's the point.
If you get 2, it's all done, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So they've got to keep reminding themselves of that. A little bit of that scrambling in the Pakistan dressing room between numbers 9, 10 and 11. There seems to be a little bit of a lottery in there as to which one. It's the way Mohammad Abbas fancies to come out, and I suspect it might hinge on whether Jofra Archer's bowling at the time. Bit of seniority played. I think he'll scuttle down to number 11.
Well, I think that second new ball, 6 overs to it.
Yeah.
Lights are on, bit of cloud around. Jimmy Anderson on 597.
I hope he's fully fit. He's been off the field a couple of times. He's down hit deepish mid-on at the moment, as Bess finally gets underway again, and Rizwan on 51. How well he's played again too. A combative character, he really is. He's pushing it out into the covers. He's been a brilliant foil for his captain here. And Bess, with a slip and a leg slip, moves in again, round the wicket, bowls, and Rizwan sweeps. We'll get 1 here, down to Archer coming in off the boundary, way down at the far end there. It's a nasty throw. Buttler couldn't take it. It was backed up by Crawley with a minimum of fuss there, like you always expected Buttler not to be able to take that. 211 for 5. New ball due in 5 overs after this one. England are desperate for it. Bess round the wicket again to Azhar Ali, who tucks that away down to Archer once more. Deep backward square. 1 more to Pakistan. They're still 371 runs behind. Huge amount. Forecast tomorrow is certainly mixed. Tuesday just looks a dreadful morning. Perhaps stopping raining in the afternoon, but no real guarantee of it, I don't think. Rizwan on strike, and he plays that straighter ball from Bess. It's got quite a nice arm ball, actually. Whether that was it or not, there's the natural variation that people talk about these days. I'm not entirely sure, but it's fielded at cover, and Bess moves in to try again. 212 for 5. There he is bowling. He's dribbling along the ground, finds Anderson coming in about 4 or 5 paces, and below us here, tossing the ball back. And I assume he's okay, but he has been off a couple of times today. Azhar on 105. Bess bowls to him. That strikes him up on the thigh pad. There's a gasp from the close fielders, but nothing is done. It's 213 for 5, and then 5 overs to go until this new ball can be taken.
Well, this is the time now, I reckon, that Joe Root should be bowling and just get to that second new ball quickly. 2 off spinners, maybe. Just wonder whether someone like Dom Sibley can bowl a little bit of leg spin.
Yeah, have a look.
I just think someone just slightly different, or the captain himself, just to get these 5 overs bowled quickly. can nick one, great. If not, you get to that second new ball a bit quicker than the seamers bowling. There hasn't been anything there really for Chris Woakes. The ball that's swinging slightly is that one that he kind of drags his fingers down the back of the ball. It's like an arm ball that just floats out at around 73 miles an hour, and that's had a little bit of shape in the air. Phil Neal seems to be doing a lot of walking these days. He's just down to our right, the England manager.
So I guess he's like a sort of a postman, and he goes backwards and forwards carrying boxes. I'm not sure what's in them. So Woakes it is from the far end, coming in and bowling down the leg side, taken by Buttler and caught by Buttler, and Rizwan is out. Very good catch. The ball down the leg side, and Rizwan's not hanging around. He knows he got something on that. All the England players know it too, and finally the stand is broken, and Mohammad Rizwan is out, caught by Buttler. Nice catch this down the leg side. Quite a lot of bat on it. Buttler was there. Oh, just got in the webbing of the glove.
And exactly why Joe Root shouldn't be bowling, I guess.
Well, there you go.
Well, the down the leg side, it's a gift really. Rizwan had played so well, faced 113 balls for 53, and I just like the way he plays his cricket. He's a real fighter.
Yeah.
Gritty, determined player. He got that blow to the helmet from Jofra Archer, just carried on as if nothing had happened. Pakistan have certainly got a wicket-keeper batsman that's going to have a lot of success, I think, over the next few years. Finally, England have got that breakthrough. With that second new ball due, Yasir Shah will stroll out now, the bubbly leg spinner. And realistically, after this partnership, if England can get another one now before the second new ball, it could certainly be over pretty quickly, this first innings for Pakistan.
138, Andy, that stand?
Yes, it's Pakistan's third highest sixth wicket stand against England. Rizwan 53, 6 and 5 fours from his 113 balls, and as I said a few minutes ago, he's the first Pakistan wicketkeeper to have 2 half centuries in a series against England.
He's played well. And unfortunately, it always feels like a bit of a strangle. That I don't think the Mohammad Abbas to Sibley one was, because I think that was deliberately bowled to a batsman who does have an issue there. But that was just a bit of a seeker from Woakes, and luckily for him, the batsman got a little bit of something on it.
Good catch.
Was. Well,
again, you go back a few weeks ago, that first test of the summer, Jermaine Blackwood down the leg side at the far end.
Yep.
Very similar to the one we've just seen Josh Buttler take. And it's his foot movement. He's moving across to those leg side balls better. Little crab movements. Gets himself closer in a more powerful position to turn those hips and push across to get the catch.
Well, a nice little bonus there for England, really. And Woakes on his way now, bowls to Yasir Shah, and he feels for this outside the off stump's quite wide. And he had a little bit of a grope at it.
It's a bit gloomy, I guess.
Yeah, it is quite gloomy. The dreaded light meter will be out in a second, I would imagine. The lights are on, but you can see the shadows at the players' feet. It's supposed to go through for another 2 hours yet.
It's times like this that you kind of look at the Pakistan balcony and Shan, Masood, Abid Ali. Start to think, will we have to face them tonight?
In comes Woakes, bowls to Shah, who plays that nicely, but forcing stroke off the back foot. He's got Pope racing after the ball. He'll get there now, down at square third man. And so Yasir Shah's off and running, likes to play a few shots. He's a very smiley character. So I think he enjoys life, Yasir Shah. And I can just see coming down the steps the sight of the fourth umpire.
And do you reckon that's the second new ball?
Might be the second new ball, or it might be the light meter. They're so big these days, they can't sit in the umpire's pocket. Woakes from that end bowls. Feels at that one. Past the outside edge it goes once more into Buttler's gloves. Yeah, so Mike Burns has appeared with something down there at the far end, coming down those steps.
And he's got his binoculars out. What's he got? Andy, can you see if it's a box of balls or?
He's leaning on the rail at the moment. Woakes on his way, bowls very full, half volley length really, and Yasir just plays that carefully back to the bowler.
Ball sounds so soft, doesn't it?
It does.
That square cut that Yasir Shah got off the mark with, it went nowhere really.
Why are they going so soft?
I don't know. It's not, they've not been whacked to the boundary that often.
No.
Maybe it's just the pitch, abrasive, very quite hard.
It's looking at that catch again by Buttler. In comes Woakes, bowls outside the off stump, left alone by Yasir Shah. It's not far away, but at the end of a successful over, 215 for 6, so 368 behind. The old wicketkeeper Bob Taylor probably having a bit of a chunter about that. He's got a real thing. I understand why, about the size of the webbing between the thumb and the forefinger on wicket-keeping gloves these days, and that one absolutely wedged in the webbing.
It was just a hat.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
on a new hat for Michael Gough.
He's just gone for the baseball cap, hasn't he now, I think? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's gone for the baseball star cap, Michael Gough. It's a bit windy out there, I think it is. Look at the trees to the right.
Yeah, it has picked up a bit. The trees are rocking in the woods. Hope my steward's all right. I haven't seen him this morning. Sitting in the same place. And goes Bess. Round the wicket, bowls to Azhar, who flicks that away out to mid-wicket. He'll be depending a lot on Yasir Shah, I think, because any thoughts he might have had of scoring a double century might just have diminished quite a lot when Rizwan was out. He's not got much company left. Not of that quality anyway. This is down the leg side, collected by Buttler as Azhar doesn't play at it. And he's ready again, so little skip, and Bess goes striding in, bowls round the wicket, and Azhar simply covers up, plays the ball back to the bowler again. Lick of the fingers. Spins himself a catch. Once more moves in and bowls. It's flicked firmly but straight to Burns this time. Fielding at mid-wicket. It's a very strong leg side field because he's coming round the wicket, so there's leg slip. 2 men out on the boundary. Anderson's quite deep, and there's 2 within the circle, if you like, in the leg side as well. And that ball is threaded between them for a single out to Sibley.
Andy, can you do a little bit of research? So Don Bess has now played how many tests?
This is his 10th.
Okay, can you just have a look at Nathan Lyon after 10 tests, just to see the kind of if there's any comparison? Because I just think young spinners, they just need time, don't they? They need time to develop, time to bowl lots of overs. Let's see if there's any comparison of numbers after 10 games. It's not that far off the same action, is it?
No, it's not actually. And he goes once more. Men crowding round now. And Yasir Shah's forward, that runs away off a thick edge. Down towards third man. Root is racing after this. He'll stop them getting 3 runs, but I don't think they would want the third anyway, because this means, given it's the last ball of the over, that Azhar will be on strike on 106. 218 for 6. 3 overs to go until the new ball. So Messrs Broad and Anderson, for the umpteenth time in their careers, will start that painful process of loosening up, whirling the arms over, going through the bowling action.
Nathan Lyon, 29 wickets in his first 10 tests, averaged 28. Don Bess so far 19 wickets in his 10th test. He's not bowled in a couple of them, averaging 37 so far.
He's got 2 caps on his head at the moment, so I assume he's wearing Chris Woakes's, because he's striding back to start a new over.
I mean, there's 10 more wickets, but as Andy mentioned, there's 2 test matches, not bowled a ball.
Absolutely.
So it's not that far off, is he?
Slip in a gully. As Woakes runs in, bowls to Azhar. It's short. He pulls that away, not really getting hold of it. Ball runs out towards deep mid-wicket, and they're not going to dip the second there, so that's an opportunity for England then to have 5 balls at Yasir Shah. That was Don Bess out there, who was very fast in rushing round to his left, getting the ball, but most importantly, getting rid of it quickly. Almost as soon as in his hand, the throw starts, just to put the batsman off. 219 for 6, so 364 behind. It's 2 slips now in a gully. Woakes on his way, moves in, bowls, and Yasir Shah is forward. Perfectly competently. And Woakes wanders back to his mark again. Just a little bit of hair has escaped from his Alice band. I'll just sweep that away in a moment.
See, they've all bowled so well with these headbands, haven't they, in the Alice bands. You would think there's a chance that they may carry on with them.
Yeah, well, Broad's bandana.
You'd be taking that to India or Sri Lanka in the winter,
I
wouldn't
think so. Here's Woakes, and he bowls. That's tucked away towards deep square leg. They'll only get 1, though, because Anderson is the fielder. 220 for 6. Yes, when the really long head ones are root. Crawley's quite shaggy these days. Pope.
Well,
Broad.
Yeah, Broad and Woakes in particular have had such good summers.
Yeah.
In terms of the wicket-taking column and a few runs as well. You'd be keeping that. I don't think I'd keep it. Not got enough runs. Change something.
Yeah.
Have a haircut.
Woakes and Bess are the other 2 very long-haired ones.
Who's this down here? Who's that chap there with the England? Is that Greg the digital man? Is it?
Very good question. There's a chap with a hoodie anyway. He's heading off around the boundary edge as Woakes, with a slip in a gully, comes in, bowls to Azhar Ali, right forward there, that ball of good length on the off stump. And Broad, he looks at the ball, you can tell he doesn't really want to look at it very much. It's an old one, and he's looking forward to get his fingers around a bright new shiny, ever so slightly greasy one, and hope that under these clouds with the lights on it's going to nip about a bit and they'll finish this Pakistan innings off. 220 for 6. In comes Woakes, bowls, that's cut hard by Azhar, but straight to Pope at backward point. Presumably if they do bowl Pakistan out in these sort of conditions, you'll revise your view of batting, would you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I personally would be forced to follow on, whatever the situation.
Yeah.
There's so many runs ahead.
They're fit young lads. A couple of days in the field. End of the summer for a number of them. Woakes on his way, bowls outside the off stump. Oh, Buttler's dropped that inexplicably, and that's really stung his hand. Whoa, that is painful. Oh dear. He's got one absolutely on the end of his finger. I'm not quite sure whether it's just swung at the last minute on its way through. Doesn't matter how thick and protective these gloves are. You get one on the end of your finger. Oh, yeah, I didn't like to see that. Ooh, right on the finger end. That's a nasty one, a real eye-waterer. So, Michael, some thoughts from you? Time ticking along. We've got a lot of cricket left. The new ball, important, is due soon. And then it's Dan who's coming in here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Joss Butler's fine. He's got his gloves off, but he's wiggling his fingers around, so I don't think there's any great damage. It's been a sore one, yeah. He's just pressing his left hand onto his right hand, the hand that got hit, just to try and test the bones, just to feel if he can just get a sense that there's a real problem there. But he looks to be fine. Short leg, a leg slip to Yasir Shah. Bess around the wicket. Afternoon, Dan.
Afternoon, Michael. 2 overs before a new ball becomes available, and a sweep shot. quite an elaborate one from Yasir Shah. It was slightly dangerous, right up the middle stump. And a direct hit from a throw from Jofra Archer from the deep as well, as they scampered back very determinedly for 2. There was an awful lot going on there. I'm not sure I quite did it justice. Bess is bowling round the wicket, and Yasir just went down and paddle swept it round the corner. And then, well, actually, no, it wasn't a direct hit. As I see it again, the throw came in to Buttler, and he didn't take it cleanly. He's had an awkward 2 minutes or so with the gloves. He just broke the stumps with his own hands as Bess is in to Shah. Oh, edges! Oh, through first slip, down towards the boundary. Slip is wide. Joe root there, and it's gone all the way to the rope for 4. It went between the keeper and the first slip. I'm not sure it was really gettable for Buttler. It was a little too wide of him standing up to the stumps. He wasn't going to get that, but first slip is really quite wide. Is that because he's bowling around the wicket? Michael?
No, he's just too wide.
I mean,
That's a genuine-
normally that would go straight to first slip, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you've got to position yourself for the genuine just outside edge. It looks to me like he's going to go a bit finer now.
Well, yeah.
he's laughing. I think he's realised he was a bit wide.
Well, yes, he was a good pace wider than he is now. Now his left foot is in line with the crease as the next delivery is worked around the pad by Yasir Shah to short mid-wicket where Dom Sibley does the fielding. We've got a leg slip and a forward short leg, and now that slip, the first slip's come a bit tighter, the one slip. As Bess is in round the wicket and Yasir just clips this off his hip. He went back into his crease well, read the length well and clipped it down to deep backward square leg where Jofra Archer comes in and underarms the ball. I don't know, am I slightly fixating on Anderson's health here with Pakistan 227 for 6? He's been out at long leg, not up in the ring like he often is with the bowlers. As Bess is in, and that's clipped away nicely by Azhar Ali out to deep mid-wicket where Stuart Broad does the fielding. And then when the ball went to him, 228 for 6, the last over, did you notice he didn't really ping his throw in, did it? It was a little bit lax. You think he's fine, do you?
Yeah, I think he's playing a game.
Okay.
Absolutely fine.
Bess in, and that's defended on the front foot by Yasir Shah as he comes forward to that full length delivery. It's picked up by Zach Crawley. End of the over, 228 for 6. 1 over remains before a new ball becomes available. Azhar Ali 108, Yasir Shah 12.
Yeah, I would suggest that Jimmy Anderson on 597 wickets and Pakistan 6 wickets down and 1 over to go towards the second new ball with Shaheen, Afridi, Mohammad Abbas and Naseem Shah to come. I think he'll be fine.
Well, you'd hope he would be, would you? Yeah, that's probably going to incentivise him.
Yeah, and even if he's not fine, I think he'll be fine.
Right, I get you. It's pretty gloomy out there. A light could yet be an issue. The floodlights are really resplendently shining, and there is a big bank of, I don't think, rain-bearing cloud. Our producer Adam Mountford showed me a very encouraging weather forecast for the back end of today, but so far I've seen a lot of encouraging weather forecasts that haven't really come to fruition.
And what was that? Was it meant to brighten up?
Brighten up, yes. You know, the little wispy white cloud with the sort of 5 rays of yellow sun. Woakes starts up a new over, the 80th of the innings, and his first ball is worked off the hip by Azhar Ali nicely out to deep backward square leg. It's a bit short and he was able to tuck it away comfortably enough. Those singles coming very easily.
Well, I reckon
2-9 for 6.
that was a very, very well delivered ball, because it was, I'm going to put my square leg back, fine leg back, I'm going to put one onto your hip and you're going to knock it to square leg for 1 and then I can bowl to Yasir Shah.
Clever. Yep. Well, now he wants to keep Yasir Shah on strike because that is the man he's got in his sights. Yasir has, I think, of the 4 tail enders, and don't forget that they're going to be batting with their captain at the other end, so we might see a little bit more defensive rigour perhaps as Woakes is in, and Yasir just turns this ball into the onside, doesn't move his feet at all, it's quite full, and he's just got his bat down into it, jabbed it to a sort of shortish mid-wicket where Bess does the fielding. But of those 4 bowlers, I think Yasir might be the one who finds it more difficult to curb his natural attacking instinct. Would you say, Michael?
Yes, I think you're correct there, Dan.
But the other 3, whether they manage to survive or not, I think they will try to dig in, especially with their captain watching on the other end. Woakes in, and Yasir defends very uncomfortably, again with no foot movement, pushes the ball back up the wicket, and there's no run. We have asked England earlier about Jimmy Anderson. They say he's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. But then you remember when we were out in Australia, he was absolutely fine, in Brisbane, and he went off.
I do remember that, yeah.
I'm just saying. As Woakes is in, and Yasir drives forcefully and well straight down the ground to the onside of straight. It's being pursued. It will be hauled back in just inside the rope, and they're going to come back for 3, which will annoy Chris Woakes because it means he won't get to bowl the last 2 balls of the over, you would think, to Yasir Shah, who moves with that 3 to 15, 232 for 6. Azhar Ali back on strike on 109. It was an elegant looking shot. sort of, not quite an on drive, it was a straight drive, and it just went to the onside of straight. Now, that field is going back out to square leg. I don't think Woakes now particularly wants to concede the single. There are 2 balls left in the over. And with a new ball available at the end of this over, you would imagine Jimmy Anderson bowling it from this end. He would very much prefer to be bowling to Yasir Shah. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here. One of the 2 slips has come out. There's only 1 slip and a gully as Woakes is into Azhar Ali, who pushes into the offside, the front foot, and Sibley does the fielding. 1 more ball to negotiate before the new ball. I'm presuming they're going to take it. I mean, they will take the new ball.
Oh yeah, straight away, you would think. I'll bring square leg up for this last ball to make sure that Yasir Shah stays down on strike.
Well, you can afford to concede 4, can't you, when you've got a lead of 351 still, for the wider tactical significance of getting to bowl at the tail ender. I think he might just have noticed that, actually. He has. Root has just noticed. He's bringing his fielder up into square leg. So now we've got Rory Burns tightly in on the 1 at mid-wicket. Now got that square leg, mid-on, mid-off, cover, or extra cover, if you like, and a backward point. Woakes in to complete the over, and that's squeezed away. It was a wide, full ball, squeezed away towards the boundary. They'll be urging him not to get to the ball, and he hasn't. The ball just rolls over the rope, and that means that Azhar picks up 4, but Yasir Shah will be on strike with Pakistan 236 for 6, and Anderson has moved with certainty towards the umpire. Oh no, hang on a minute, the umpire's chatting. I do wonder about this light, or are they just, no, they're just getting the ball. It's just passing the new ball. So Anderson is going to take the new ball at the first possible opportunity, and this, you imagine, could be a very important part of the day.
Yeah, you see, Richard Illingworth has got the yellow lenses in his sunglasses, which are the light enhancers. So it must be quite difficult for him to know when it is dark.
Well, good. let's keep it that
way. But the
way.
problem is Michael Gough is wearing no glasses.
Yes, there is.
A bit all over it.
And the reason we're talking about it is because there is a big splodge of thick grey cloud above us. It doesn't feel, as I say, very rain-bearing, and light is filtering through between these different sort of decided clumps of cloud. So it's not filled in, but it is also not a very encouraging colour. So I think England will be advised to get on with it as soon as humanly possible. The new ball has definitely been taken. It's been shown up to the scorers, and Anderson and Broad are just rolling the ball back and forth to each other in the air, rolling their arm over. And the 3 of England's seamers there in a conclave, Woakes, Broad and Anderson. And now Woakes is going to move out to sort of short extra cover. And the last ball with the old ball we had a slip, a gully and a ring field. The first ball with the new ball, we've got 4 slips, cover point, extra cover, mid-on, mid-wicket and a long leg. Here is Anderson into Yasir Shah, who defends uncertainly off the front foot into the onside. He's got very unusual defensive technique, I'd say, Michael, in which, you know, the sort of coming forward head over the ball angled bat. That is not for Yasir Shah. He just sort of it's almost like he's sort of moving away from some foul-smelling cheese.
That one did bounce a little bit, so you understand why he was moving away from the smelly cheese on that occasion.
Here comes Anderson again. What will Yasir Shah do this time? Shah leaves us alone in an elaborate and theatrical fashion and allows the ball to go through to the keeper, a little too wide from Anderson. Anderson on the hunt for those 3 more wickets that'll take him to 600 and unleash a volley of stats from Andy Zaltzman, who is almost invisible beneath a giant cavalcade of stats.
Bit of swing there as well for Anderson.
Yeah, a little bit of drifting away to the top of his mark, and he's running in now. And Yasir, defends, but with no certainty at all, to a ball in the channel. He pushes the bat towards the general direction of the ball, and mercifully for him finds nothing as the ball settles into the gloves of Buttler, and there is no run. 236 for 6. Yasir Shah 15. Azhar Ali, a fantastic innings of 113. He's been short of runs. He scored fewer runs in his last 7 test matches than Zach Crawley scored in his last Test innings. But the drought has finally been broken as Anderson is in, and that's wafted out again by Yasir with no foot movement. It's a little shorter, and it went through quite low to Buttler.
Yeah, he just that low bounce. Just look at the slip cord, and that could quite easily be an edge very soon. But I think it'll go very low. Look how low this one bounced through to Josh Buttler. He took it just shin high. Sibley took a good catch to get rid of Abid Ali.
Yes.
Which is low down. I feel that if the edge is found, it's going to be one of those kind of by the ankles.
That did bite off the seam. That went a long way off the seam, but it was too wide to be a problem. And this is a beautiful pull shot from Yasir Shah for 4. It was short, I grant you. It was on the hip, but it was like a right-handed Roy Fredericks. He's just lifted one leg and flicked it out to the boundary.
That's Gordon Greenwich.
Well, yeah, it was Gordon Greenwich. Yes, I suppose that's a left-handed Roy Fredericks. Yeah. Right-handed, I should say. Yes.
Beautiful.
Wasn't
shot.
that marvellous?
Yeah.
The front leg went up. You'll know what I mean. The front leg went up, sort of a bent knee, and he's just flicked it with supreme timing and taken Pakistan to 240. He's got an over-the-head clap from Yunus Khan for his troubles there. Well deserved. Moves to 19 from 21 balls. Anderson in. He won't like that. And zeroes in on the pads of Yasir Shah, who gets a thick inside edge and squirts it away back to a square on the onside. He'll get a single. I was going to say get off strike. He won't, because it was the last ball of the over, and Yasir moves to 20 and will keep strike with Pakistan 241 for 6. Azhar Ali 113. Michael Vaughan has left us, and shortly will be replaced by Ebony Rainford Brent. It's presumably going to be Stuart Broad, we would think, with the new ball from the pavilion end. It all starts to perk up a bit, isn't it? What a difference a ball makes, eh?
Hey, what a difference a ball makes, yeah. And well done to Woakes. You know, it wasn't maybe the ideal wicket in terms of how he got it, but getting one of those with the old ball just gives you a chance to get in. At least you can target the newer batter with a new nut.
They've gone quite quickly since then, because Yasir Shah's not afraid to play shots.
No, he likes throwing the bat.
I was talking to Michael. I think he might be the one of the 4 bowlers in the tail who will continue to play what one might loosely term his natural game. The other 3, you think, under the steely gaze of the skipper at the other end, presuming Azhar Ali remains in situ, will probably be trying to impress their captain slightly more. Certainly the 17-year-old Naseem and the 19-year-old Shaheen Shah Afridi. What have you spotted?
I was going to just tell you, I'm just looking at the Pakistan T20 players on the sidelines, having a bit of a giggle. I made a faux pas on the TV highlights a moment ago. I'm hoping they find a way to just completely
cut it out. Yeah. What did you do?
I said, talking about the Pakistan T20 team, yeah, they've got a few T20s coming up against the BBC next week, which Tuffers then started panicking. Who's opening?
Broad is in and bowls a back of a leg ball, which is pushed out into the offside by Yasir Shah to Jofra Archer's no run. I'm happy to open.
I think Andy would want it, based on what we've seen with corridor cricket. Adam Mountford is...
No, he's not opening. He's a number 3 with his flamboyance. You need some solidity.
Who's it? Was it Warren, Wasim?
And Tuffers.
And Tuffers, all 3 around the grates, around the...
Well, the problem is Tuffers doesn't look in great form with the ball, and we might need him significantly. Because, I mean, are you bowling again now? Or,
I'll bowl a bit of non-turning off spin.
Okay. Here is Broad and Shah. Edges, and it's caught at first slip. A good catch by Joe Root. That went sharply to him, and it lifted, crucially. It was a lovely ball in the channel. And Yasir Shah, with very little foot movement, just pushed his bat at the ball, got a thick edge, and it flew high above Joe Root's head, took it with 2 hands, and England have got another breakthrough, this time with a new ball, and it's Stuart Broad. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, digital radio, online and via the BBC Sounds app, but Radio 4 long-wave listeners are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast.
Well, beauty there from Stuart Broad, I have to say, angled in. He's got that sort of steely look in his eye right now that he's charging in, got those knees pumping, and that delivery got some serious bounce and reared up off a length. Yasir Shah, the sort of player he is, maybe not able to find a way to just pull the bat inside the line. Well done to Root, actually. Haven't seen too many balls fly above your head at slip in that sort of manner. So he did well to judge the pace and take it well. Well, this is what England are desperate for, especially knowing how soft the ball goes during the middle of the game. You've got to capitalise with this new ball, and they've done that.
They have, and now they've got the three quicker bowlers, you might say. And the first one out is Shaheen Shah Afridi. He will, I suppose it'll go him, then Mohammad Abbas, and then Naseem Shah has been the way they've been going of late, haven't they? They showed a little bit of fight. I mean, they helped Mohammad Rizwan to extend Pakistan's innings in very difficult circumstances in the last Test match.
Yeah, the
up
only
to
thing,
220 odd.
only thing I can't remember, and maybe you might, but where the ball was it a new ball? Was it a freshen up with a little bit more in it? I can't remember.
Well, they had 11.2 overs to negotiate with a second ball. They got 236 in 91.2 overs. So there was a little bit of new ball action that they had to cope with. Andy will know when the 7th wicket fell in that last match.
The 7th wicket fell in the 69th over. Shaheen made a 19-ball duck before being run out. Abbas came in the 75th over and lasted until the 86th. And then Naseem Shah hung around with Rizwan, and the final wicket fell in the 92nd over. So they did. Abbas managed to last quite a few balls with the new ball.
But it's Shaheen Shah Afridi who's in. He's a left-hander, and Broad will be coming at him from around the wicket, his favoured line of attack to the left-hander, with 4 slips, a backward point, extra cover, wide mid-off, somewhere between the two with Anderson, the straighter mid-on that is Jofra Archer, square leg in front of square, about 5 or 6 yards in front of square, and a long leg. Well, actually now that backward point's come into a sort of gully position, so all out attack, 5 men in catching positions as Broad, knees pumping, runs in from the pavilion end. The new batsman who clips his ball nicely off his pads, beautifully out to deep backward square leg. They're going to come back for 2. So Azhar Ali has got great faith in his number 9, and Shaheen Shah Afridi is off the mark. Pakistan 243 for 7.
Just a little bit of relief there for Shaheen Shah. You can tell Broad is going to be targeting the pads and just angling it in. Maybe just one that got a bit too straight, and he was able to just clip it for a few, but a bit of confidence, especially at the lower order. You can enjoy just a couple of runs.
Well, welcome back, Radio 4 Longwave listeners. You missed 1 ball after the wicket fell of Yasir Shah. It's been hit for 2 by Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's on strike from Broad now. He gets up on his toes and pushes this shortish delivery down into the ground, and an angled bat towards 4th slip, who collects Zach Crawley, and there is no run. Looking again at Yasir Shah's dismissal, it was almost a sort of beaten for pace, really, wasn't he? the bat. It was very much a sort of late decision to go at the ball, and then when he did,
it was a fend off as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of a don't come near me, near my head.
There was a little of that. Broad in round the wicket to the left-hander, who pushes into the offside of the front foot. Full ball angling into the stumps, and it's fielded at point, and there is no run. 243 for 7 the score remains. 1 ball left in this over, and then it'll be Anderson with the new ball from our end. He's bowled 1 over with it already. Don't think he'd mind awfully if Shaheen Afridi got a little inside edge down to long leg here and instinctively took off for a run. Let us see. Here comes Broad. He's into him now, and that beats the outside edge beautifully. An almost unplayable delivery to the left-hander, who was pushing and prodding and slightly groping in the gloom for the ball and didn't really get anywhere near it, and it flew past his outside edge and into the gloves of Jos Buttler. I don't know how you play that, Ebony. Maybe you can explain. It looked a brute of a ball. You do explain that, and then I will be replaced by Atif Nawaz.
I think it's also worth talking about Jos Buttler there. That ball absolutely flew through, and he had to almost got his hands in a tangle because it reached him quickly with a lot of bounce on it, and just was able to snaffle it and almost knocked him over. So a good delivery from Broad. Hey, Atif.
Hello, Ebony. How are you?
Last time we were on, we were talking about how important 100 would be.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
gone and done it.
now.
Yeah, he's still there, 113. A lot of work to do, obviously. Still 340 behind, and not a lot to work with here for Azhar Ali, really. 243 for 7. Pakistan a long way behind England still. That follow on very much in sight. Whether England will enforce or not is something we can talk about. As in comes Jimmy Anderson, back of the length, defended into the onside by Azhar Ali. Surely, Ebony, if England do go through, and you expect them to go through them relatively quickly, they will enforce the follow-on. They wouldn't want to bat in these conditions, surely.
Yeah, I think they would fancy just, and also the fact that they'll get a bit of overnight rest. So, it'll be a burst again here and then some overnight rest. They I think they'll strongly consider it.
Is there a chance they could bat again?
There is, though. Depends on this resistance. Depends if they can, if each sneak 5 or 6 overs out.
In comes Jimmy Anderson now once again, this time veering onto the leg stump of Azhar Ali, who gets inside that a little bit and pushes the ball back to Jimmy Anderson. No run.
Just trying to think, with the light and everything, we maybe got, an hour's play, which could be up to about 15 overs. So you need one of these to kind of hang around for 8 or so, then another one. Then all of a sudden the game moves into a different dynamic. It's all about this new ball.
Yeah, well, strictly speaking, there's still 24.5 overs remaining, as many as today. So let's see if we fill them all in as Anderson comes in and left alone by Azhar Ali through to the keeper for no run. 24.3 overs now, I beg your pardon. I doubt they'll get them all in. They can theoretically play till 7:30.
Yeah.
So, but it is a bit darker now. The floodlights aren't quite on full blast, but they're getting there. And that will play at the back of their minds. First things first, England have to get through this tail. They don't have a lot to show for themselves in terms of averages or records, but really it's about Azhar Ali and how he can play around them at this stage. He's on strike now as Anderson comes in and bowls into the hips of Azhar Ali, flicks that away into the long leg side. They take the first one quickly. They thought about the second, and there was definitely time for it. I think Azhar Ali turned it down, hoping Shaheen can just keep out Jimmy Anderson for the last delivery. Anderson's got 4 wickets so far, still a few away. I beg your pardon, 2 deliveries to come. Thank you, Andy. Anderson will be eyeing up this tail really, because he can still close in on that milestone today.
Also, you think for him as well, we're not sure of what the winter looks like, timings and stuff like that. This, you wanna get to that record as quick as possible.
And a few better chances than this really. Pakistani tail. Got Shaheen Afridi on strike, and Azhar Ali the non-strikers, and 2 deliveries he's going to trust Shaheen with. Plenty of attacking fielders. We've got 4 slips and a gully at the moment. A fine leg in place, very squarish, nobody in the deep. So in comes Jimmy Anderson to Shaheen Afridi, wide outside the off stump, left alone by Shaheen. He didn't move at all. It looked like a Madame Tussauds statue there. Shaheen didn't move at all. 244 for 7, the score remains. 339 is a big deficit for Pakistan still. Azhar Ali will just be thinking, how can he play around this tail? How many deliveries can I trust them with at the end of the over? We saw Rizwan do it so well in the previous test match. But with a definitive number over you, it can be quite heavy. Equally, a lot of excitement among the England camp. They know Jimmy Anderson's on the verge of something special, and it could happen tonight. In he comes now, and he bowls a full delivery, which Shaheen chases and just beats the outside edge through to the keeper. No run. That's the end of the 83rd over. It was Anderson's 18th over. Pakistan 244 for 7.
A little smile there. He knew that Shaheen was a bit late on the shot, actually. Maybe a top order batter would have got there a little bit quick and got that edge. One thing I'll say as well is, I don't know what the scenario with the light is and what the umpires say, but you have got Archer who has shown high speeds today, 90s, comfortably. So if it's not happening with the first couple of overs, Joe Root can go to him before the umpires get in the way and say, look, 2 or 3 quick overs, maybe right in the toes, ruffle up the tail.
Yeah, that's the kind of bowler you want, really. Quick and straight, scary. We still remember that delivery that jarred into Rizwan's grill a little bit earlier today from Jofra Archer. 88 miles an hour, took off, just caught him by surprise. Anyway, Azhar Ali on strike and Stuart Broad coming in and bowling. Ball just angled in, almost seemed to shape back in towards Azhar, who was forward in defence. No run. That new ball swinging a little bit. Conditions pretty well suited to swing bowling.
I was going to say suited to it, but Azhar Ali actually with the new ball has looked flawless. Obviously he's set. Sometimes you'd expect, with the new ball that you revert to sort of tricky form as such, but he's looked in good order so far.
It's getting more comfortable accumulating runs now as Stuart Broad comes in short this time outside the off stump. Azhar Ali's put his bat through that. It's racing away to the backward point boundary. Ollie Pope is in pursuit and he will slide the ball back in and get it back in. And Azhar Ali will take 2. Keen to retain that strike. We're going to see a little bit of this cat and mouse between Azhar Ali and the England fielders now. Yeah, really timed that beautifully on the back foot. A little bit aerial. Not completely in control of it, but effective enough.
Yeah, not the sort of ball you want to be bowling to Azhar Ali with the new ball. Just giving him plenty of width and a chance to rock back and guide it over the fielders. If it's going to be short, it's got to be a lot closer to the body.
Stuart Broad now is into his 17th over here. Looks a tiny bit wary as he leans in and begins his run up. And he comes and he bowls. Effort delivery, bit of a grunt there as it's left alone by Azhar through to the keeper, no run. 246 for 7 now, Pakistan. Azhar Ali's upped his, sorry, beg your pardon.
No, you go.
He's upped his strike rate quite remarkably during the course of this innings. I remember Andy noted earlier that it took him quite some while to get to that 50 mark, but beyond that he progressed quickly. His strike rate, I vividly recall, was at 19 at one point, and it's all the way up to the late 40s now, so he's getting his runs at a good pace. Azhar Ali. I'll get Andy to chime in on that in a minute. As Stuart Broad comes in and bowls wide outside the off stump, left alone by Azhar Ali. 2 deliveries to come. If he keeps getting that line, it's going to be difficult for him to get off strike.
Yeah, maybe just hiding that ball now for the last couple of deliveries, and then they can target in at the other end. He wants to make this as big a 100 as he possibly can as well. You know, getting closer to that. You know, if you could get a 130, 140, it's a different narrative, I think, to just creeping over 100. Once you start getting towards that 150 mark, you know that's a serious resilience and resistance.
Particularly if you can do it with the tail, you know, in the context of the game, trying to get closer to that follow-on mark, and you know, bearing in mind, even if they do follow on, they'll want a chance to avoid that innings defeat and just push the game as late as they possibly can, knowing there's some weather about as well. They don't just want to roll over. As England come in now, and Stuart Broad with a short ball outside off stump didn't really get up really, and comfortably left alone by Azhar Ali through to the keeper, no run. 246 for 7 the score. Got a beautiful delivery through to Yasir Shah. Stuart Broad to dismiss him, just took off a little bit off a length, and that new ball bouncing a little bit more, surprising Yasir, who'd batted well to get to his 20 at that point. 20 runs in quick time. Stuart Broad at the top of his run. It's 4 slips await. In he comes and bowls, and this time angling into the pads is a shout for LBW. It's abandoned very quickly. It was quite high. That was my initial reading of the situation. There's no thought of a review or anything like that. Hands on heads and quickly around for the over. So that's 84 overs gone. Pakistan 246 for 7. And perhaps crucially for England, Shaheen Afridi will be on strike. In fact, a thick inside edge that time. Andy.
Azhar Ali's innings, 10 runs from his first 58 balls. Then 19 from the next 54. At that point he had 29 off 112. Then found some wonderful fluency, reached his 193 balls later, 74 runs from those 93 balls. Calmed down a little since reaching 3 figures, 13 off 33 since then. But it's an innings of phases we saw with Zach Crawley going through all wonderful different phases of his innings, starting fast and slowing down, accelerating, slowing down again, and then blitzing at the end. Azhar Ali not quite the same, but it's been a fascinating innings.
Anderson in now and bowls, and this time the ball's been played into the leg side region for a single by Shaheen. He's managed to get himself off strike on the first ball, and he'll breathe a little sigh of relief.
Me, it just feels a bit gloomy. It just felt like it went down another notch.
Yeah, it just did get a little bit gloomy. In fact, you know, I think it's enough for me to take my sunglasses off.
I was going to ask if you've got more sun than the rest of us. Looking cool. Too cool for school.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is definitely a bit gloomier. It's a bit darker, and I think Joe Root will keep an eye on that and make sure Dom Bess is warm, because the last thing they want to do is come off a light at this stage, particularly England in the position that they're in. A stat from Andy was fascinating. We'll pick up on that in a second as Jimmy Anderson comes in once more, this time driven beautifully straight, but only as far as mid-off by Azhar Ali. Yeah, it just shows that there are phases in this game where batting gets a little bit easier. You know, there's definitely phases where it's very difficult, but if you can see off those phases, there's times in the game where you can really cash in and score your runs very quickly with the ball getting softer, bright sunshine. You know, those little passages is where you have to cash in. That's probably what England did a lot better than Pakistan. Got a little bit of luck with the conditions, but generally just applied themselves a little bit more as Anderson comes in this time, angling that one into Azhar Ali, who's forward in defence, into the onside for no run.
Yeah, I think it feels around the first 15 overs are a real threat with a new ball. You know, we saw, I don't know what England were 120 off for 4, were they? And 4 wickets down went quickly for both sides, even though it was a lot quicker for Pakistan. But then, like you say, then those mammoth partnerships have started to establish, or the bigger ones, on just a slightly slow wicket where you've just got time. So England know that they've got another 10 overs to be a threat with this ball.
Anderson in now once again, full delivery, and it strikes him on the pad. There's a big appeal for LBW. It looked pretty straight. The umpire shakes his head, and of course England have no reviews remaining. Otherwise that looked pretty straight. Possibly struck him outside the line. We will take another look at that, but to the naked eye it looked pretty straight. We're going to have another look at this delivery. Seam in perfect, pristine position, pitches in line, strikes him in front of middle. Oh my word, that looked pretty straight, didn't it, Ebony?
Back leg as well. You have to give credit, because Anderson had the ball shaping away, so it was going towards leg stump and then just came back. He missed it, overbalanced, and hit on the back leg. You feel if it is hitting, it's just going to be the top, but they have no reviews.
Now we saw Stuart Broad use one review particularly poorly early on in the day. That one comes to mind. Anyway, in comes James Anderson, outside the off stump, left alone by Azhar Ali. Didn't quite cover all his stumps there with his stance, but living a little bit dangerously. One delivery to come in this over. We've had confirmation there was a thick inside edge, so an outstanding decision by the umpire. It did look pretty straight, but it's irrelevant when you got some bat on it.
I didn't even clock the bat. I don't think anyone clocked the bat there. He was closing the face, so it must have just rolled off the back of the bat at an angle.
That ball just going away. Beautiful stuff. In comes Jimmy Anderson now, this time outside off stump on a length, and just pushed into the covers defensively for no run. Excellent over from Jimmy Anderson there, just the 1 run from it. 247 for 7. And Shaheen will be on strike, and the umpires are kind of looking up at the sky, looking at the light. There will be a little discussion. It looks a little bit ominous, as you say, Ebony. It is quite gloomy out there, but I think they're going to persevere for 1 more over, unless Joe Root happens to chuck the ball to Jofra Archer. Yeah.
Silverwood indicating to the players.
Andy.
To highlight the difference between the first 40 overs and the second 40 overs of the 2 innings in this game, England were 128 for 4 in their first 40 overs, scored 160 for 0 in their second 50 overs. Pakistan 79 for 5 in the first 40, 157 for 1 in the second 40.
I think it's just bringing that point home. Bat taking your time and applying itself. In comes Stuart Broad, short delivery down the leg side. There's a big appeal for caught behind, and it's been given by the umpire as well. Shaheen just getting a little bit of glove on it as it was going down the leg side. He tried to glance it away, but a beautiful catch behind the stumps by Jos Buttler, claiming that wicket, and England get a little bit closer to going through this Pakistan innings. Shaheen Shah Afridi being dismissed there. Excellent catch behind the stumps by Jos Buttler. What a performance from him today.
Yeah, he's on fire, isn't he? Look, that was tailing some distance. That's a full stretch Superman style take. He had to take it right-handed, just 1 glove available because it was going so far away from his body. And he had to time that catch with precision. I tell you what, that is some take.
Absolutely incredible. On replay, you really get the value of it. As you say, full stretch, and also, as he's falling to the ground, he had to grasp the ball a little bit tighter because it was just in the webbing of his gloves, and he had to kind of roll it whilst falling into a more stable position in his palm, just closing his grasp on it. Extraordinary from Jos Buttler. That will give him a ton of confidence for future performances. Excellent there, but crucially there for England, another wicket gone. Shaheen Shah Afridi, they didn't expect too much from him. Maybe a little bit of resistance and company for Azhar Ali. At this point, it looks like he may be stranded at the other end. 247 for 8 now, Pakistan. Still 336 adrift of England's 583 as drinks are being taken. We've seen a few wickets fall today, and from Pakistan, of course, overnight they'd lost 3 big wickets, including that of Babar Azam yesterday. That was a bit unlucky for Pakistan already. Azhar Ali and Asad Shafiq in overnight, and they came back today, and Jimmy Anderson picking up where he left off. Asad Shafiq the first to go, just pushing it one outside the off stump, and then Fawad Alam and Azhar Ali built a nice partnership until Fawad Alam also just kind of followed Don Bess outside the off stump. Another excellent catch by Jos Buttler there, he was gone for 21, and then came the big partnership for Pakistan, Azhar Ali and Mohammad Rizwan putting on a lot of runs and putting them on quickly until Rizwan was dismissed by Woakes, and another great catch by Buttler behind the stumps. Then Yasir Shah came in for a little cameo. He got himself 20 before being caught by root of one that just rose a little bit with that new ball, a little bit shiny, a little bit bouncier, and took the edge of the bat and looped up to Joe Root. In fact, I shouldn't say it looped up, really. It kind of flew off the bat, and he had to really respond quickly, and that did for him. And just now we've seen Shaheen Shah really caught down the leg side by a full stretch dive from Jos Buttler. He's picked up 4 dismissals in this innings. Superb effort from him behind the stumps. 4 different dismissals, 4 different bowlers. Extraordinary stuff.
Yeah, really extraordinary. You think about a few test matches ago where he was sort of snatching at it and the ball was bouncing and it was difficult. And then you look at the take he took today against Don Bess with bounce. And then 2 of those ones down the leg side, which, for a lot, you just see a sort of a glove and it tails through. He's actually gone with some real momentum to take those.
Yeah, showing exactly what his worth is with the gloves. He showed it earlier with the bat in this match. Jos Buttler, world-class player, and one of the most well-liked players in the team as well. You can tell by the congratulations he was getting from his teammates. It was a superb effort. One to tune into the highlights for later on. Beautiful catch there behind the stumps. Well, here we go. A new batsman in now. Mohammad Abbas, who's talked about improving his batting a lot in his time at Leicestershire, the county cricket, which a lot of Pakistanis credit with a little bit of incremental improvement to their technique. Let's see how well he can do here. There's 4 slips in place for Stuart Broad, a gully, a short leg, and no one out in the deep. No fine leg. Oh, there is a fine leg, I beg your pardon. No third man, no one in the deep in the leg side, all the covers. So very aggressive field here from England. And Mohammad Abbas on strike to Stuart Broad, who comes in and bowls a delivery angled in towards Abbas. Plays it to mid-on for no run.
Good news for England as well. There's a bit of sun that's just popped through the cloud, which has just given the lighter lift. If England want to just wrap everything up tonight, the last thing you want to do is go off. So that just might give them maybe another few minutes of good light that the umpires don't consider the light.
Is it enough light to tempt them to have another bat?
I have a feeling no, but yeah, definitely makes a difference when it pops through.
In comes Stuart Broad now, a little bit shorter that time, and ducked underneath that. Abbas rapidly keen to get out of the way, and goes through the keeper. No run. A little nonchalant kind of look on his face as well, Abbas, as if to say, I can duck those all day, mate, no problem at all. You kind of sense Stuart Broad just kind of softening him up a little bit, a couple of short ones before he gets the quicker one, either on a length or full. Andy.
Something to look out for. If Stuart Broad can take one of the last 2 wickets, it'll be the 8th consecutive innings in which he's taken 3 or more wickets for England. He'll be the first England bowler to do that since Maurice Tate in the 1920s.
Extraordinary. Records breaking all over the place in this match. In comes Stuart Broad, and this time angling a short one into the body of Abbas, who just fends it off into the offside for no run. A few oohs from the England players there, sensing they're on the verge of another wicket.
I'm just glad Abbas has got a few bits of padding on at the moment. You can just see there's a short one. That one just awkward length that popped up, but he's got a decent amount of padding. An arm guard. Might be wearing the chest guard.
Yeah, he's got to protect himself. Mohammad Abbas. All those slips keeping him company, that short leg keeping him company. In comes Stuart Broad now, and he bowls a good length delivery outside the off stump, which Mohammad Abbas somehow managed to defend out into the covers. I don't think he knew too much about that, but he got his bat in front of the ball, and that's all that counts in the end, I suppose. 247 for 8. One more delivery for Abbas to survive, as his captain stares him down from the non-strikers. And you almost think it's worth Azhar Ali just going in and having a little chat with Mohammad Abbas at this point.
Yeah, just one more delivery, one more.
Just hang in there, mate.
And then you got 3 minutes off.
Hang in there. It's one thing, one critique of Azhar really just doesn't talk to his players enough, or certainly we don't catch him talking to his players enough, whether in the field or in the middle. As in comes Stuart Broad now. He bowls another full delivery down the leg side, and excellent take again from Jos Buttler. No bat on it this time though. Just prevents some buys. That's the end of the 86th over of this Pakistan innings. 247 for 8. Azhar Ali on 116 not out, and Mohammad Abbas yet to score from 5 deliveries.
Yeah, I'm just looking what's to come. Just Naseem Shah, the youngster. England will want to wrap this up as quick as possible. And then just looking at time, like we say, there's still, in theory, quite a few overs left in the day. Obviously, there's light and things like that to consider. But in theory, we could go through to 7:30. So that gives us a good 40 minutes plus of play.
Yes, absolutely. Theoretically, another 21 overs to come today. So I doubt we'll see them all, but plenty of time for England to wrap this up and maybe have another go at Shan, Masood and Abid Ali. They'll be sitting in the dressing room nervously awaiting their fate. As Jimmy Anderson at the top of his run coming in. He's got 3 slips in place. And Stuart Broad at mid-on to keep him company as in he comes and bowls to Azhar Ali. Beautiful shot, that full delivery driven back to him, but Anderson gets his feet to it and blocks it, prevents it going anywhere. A little wry smile from Jimmy Anderson. Probably heard that one in the follow-through as well. Ebony's left me. Azhar Mahmood joining me in the commentary box. Azhar, those ones look a little bit painful when you have to put your foot in the way of it in the follow-through.
Yeah, when you're looking for fifer, you don't feel any pain. Jimmy Anderson looking for 29th fifer in his test career.
He's closing in, him and Broad. They've got a great chance here, as anyway, Anderson comes in and he bowls to Azhar Ali down the leg side. Azhar was looking for a flick there, missed it, went through to the keeper. No run. You've got to be a little bit careful considering that Shaheen delivery as well. If anything going down the leg side, you've really got to be onto it quickly, haven't you, Azhar?
Yeah, definitely. Because what a catch that was.
Incredible. Full stretch. How
much ground he covered in that catch. Absolutely fantastic.
It would be interesting to get a measurement of that, and I don't think we can ask Andy to do that. I think it might be too much to ask. The most distance covered by keepers and catches. In comes Anderson now. Full delivery has been edged and dropped. That second slip by Rory Burns. Well, he could have taken it. It went straight to him. It did fly to him at a good pace, but he's just parried it all the way to the third man boundary for 4, and that's another boundary for Azhar Ali. He'll take them. 120 he moves on to, but a chance for Jimmy Anderson's fifer just goes away. Beautiful delivery, just seamed in, moved away off the surface, and just palmed by Rory Burns towards that third man boundary. Frustration, Azhar.
Yeah, very frustrated for Jimmy especially. He's looking for his fifer and got everything right. On this level, you should be catching these ones. Azhar Ali have a booming drive in there, but it comes very thick and fast in the slips. It's not easy, but at this level, you should be catching these balls.
And Rory Burns will just want to disappear for the moment as in comes Jimmy Anderson, shorter this time, and worked off the face of the bat into that third man region for a single by Azhar Ali. 2 balls for Mohammad Abbas to survive, and he's dropped a couple of catches in this series already as Rory Burns, and I saw him in the practice session, working really hard on those slip catch drills, but in the match they just catch you by surprise.
It's very difficult. In the practice you're catching, everything is coming to you. In the game you have to stay there, at this time of the day, 5 hours standing there with no snack, and suddenly come to you, and it's very difficult. But at this level, what I'm saying, you need to catch these balls.
Absolutely. Perhaps he'll get another chance. Mohammad Abbas on strike now as Jimmy Anderson comes in and bowls. Delivery that angles in, and this time Abbas plays off the face, and it dropped just short. Well, everybody's responding as if it's drop catch, but it looked like it dropped just short. Andy's shaking his head. He reckons that's a true drop there. Well, it was Zach Crawley, a 4th slip there, and I guess nowadays you're expected to take them in front of you, aren't you? We're going to have another look at it. As it flew off the face. It really flew, and yes, it went straight to his palms. Perhaps I was doing him a bit of a favour there, but yeah, absolutely, that's another 2 drops in 1 over. Jimmy Anderson can't believe it. He should have had 6.
Must be gutted here and very cross. You can see from his reaction here.
Absolutely, he's giving that ball a vigorous rub on his trousers, get that frustration out. Got 4 slips and a gully in place, and really should have had 5, maybe 6 wickets at this stage anyway. And he comes now to Mohammad Abbas, full of delivery, and Abbas just pushes it out. He survives another over. Pakistan 252 for 8 after 87. After some thoughts from Azhar Mahmood, you're going to have the smooth sounds of Isha Guha.
Must be very frustrating for Jimmy. He worked really hard. He was running in and created 2 chances, and these chances were, one of them was very easy. One was, it was thick and fast, booming drive from Azhar Ali.
What do you say to James Anderson? Chris Woakes has just handed him back his jumper and cap. I noticed that Woakes didn't actually mutter anything to him. What can you say? 2 drops in the over. When you think about the context of this, it would have been wicket number 598.
599. 2 drops.
And 599. Test Viper. Here comes Stuart Broad from the pavilion end, bowls to Azhar Ali, who plays it to mid-wicket. James Anderson slowly, casually runs to the ball, 3 slips in position. Rory Burns looking sheepish in the slip coordinate, 2nd slip. Just had news due to the inclement weather around in the morning. The start time will be 11 o'clock tomorrow. Forecast currently has heavy showers in the area in the morning, but clearer in the afternoon. Lights are on here in Southampton. Dark skies above. Broad pushes away now. He's taken 2 wickets. Past the stumps, bowl short to Azhar Ali, who puts it away to the leg side, bisects the 2 fielders. They're sitting back on the boundary. He moves to 125, 256 for 8. He picks up another 4.
Lovely shot on top of the bounce, and he was in full control of this shot. Excellent timing as well, and placement.
It's amazing, isn't it, Test cricket? Jos Buttler has just taken one of the all-time spectacular catches off the bowling of Stuart Broad, and then 2 simple ones for England in the slip cordon. As Broad steams in, Azhar Ali carves this over to the deep cover boundary outside the line of off stump. It was short, it was wide, it deserved the treatment. Another 4 then to the Pakistan captain, moves to 129, 260 for 8.
Only 1 boundary off Stuart Broad in his first 18 overs, now 2 in 2 balls.
What a shot that was. Absolutely fantastic. Look at the timing and placement again.
There was a Caribbean style flair to that shot as he just arched his back as he played.
He's playing with the tail, so he got a license. If he sees any opportunity, he will lash on it.
Taps his bat down gently now. Azhar Ali is Broad, runs towards him, bowls a good length delivery that he defends to James Anderson, standing at a wide-ish mid-on. No run. As he wanders out to square leg, in comes deep backward square to position himself next to Michael Goff, who's standing at square leg now.
How well he batted, he was under so much pressure, and he slightly changes it in his technique, and today the balance and everything was so good, and he was mentally strong, having a lot of criticism.
Arms pumping from Broad, inside edge from Azhar Ali as he comes down the track. There's a run out opportunity and it will go upstairs. Azhar Ali scrambling to get back in. Stuart Broad with an underarm flick to remove the bail.
Run out. I can see your best side on angle, please.
Richard Kettleborough, the 3rd umpire.
It's gone.
Yeah, he looks behind there. No, he's in. Manages to get the bat down in time.
Ready for my decision on the big screen. The decision is not out. Repeat, not out.
Very, very lucky for Azhar Ali here. He turns slowly. You don't want to finish your top innings like this manners.
One more ball left of the over then. Azhar Ali looking to get down the other end, protect the tail ender. He pushed forwards, there was a lot of hesitation. He pushed forwards again and then saw Stuart Broad sprinting towards him. It's a serious dive he put in, stretching to get in as Broad came in. He did well to get out of the way of Azhar Ali's bat as he fell forward, Stuart Broad, and tumbled over. So Broad with the ball back in his hands as he walks to the top of his mark. Stillness in the air, just a gentle breeze, flags blowing in the distance. In front of the Rod Bransgrove Pavilion. Broad sets off, runs in on an angle. Azhar Ali inside edge, finds its way to Jimmy Anderson sprinting in from mid-on, and no run is taken. So James Anderson will have Mohammad Abbas on strike. Pakistan 260 for 8, trailing by 323. And the whole team willing James Anderson on. Will they take a catch if it comes to them? That's what will be on their mind. Stuart Broad has wandered over as well. Two great mates. He's got his hands on his hips and having a quick word to his opening partner, Anderson. Top of his mark then. He's got 4 slips and a gully in position. Here he comes, running away from us. Bowls. Abbas pats the ball back to Anderson, who leans forwards to collect the ball. Chris Woakes, extra cover, loads of space on the offside. Stuart Broad having another chat to him. Adds mid on, the man at mid wicket, and Jofra Archer down at fine leg as Anderson turns at the top of his mark. Flashes of orange from the soles of his shoes. He bowls an in-swinger to Abbas, who defends to the leg side. He's faced 9 deliveries, has Mohammad Abbas. I've seen him in test matches hang around for a little while.
I was just looking at the slips, See, Rory Burns set up quite late. Everyone is setting up and he's set up quite late. So it's really important when you're having as a slip fielder, you set up really early to see when the ball is coming. Watch that.
Here comes Anderson now, bowls to Abbas, inside edge, down to fine leg. As he comes forwards. And will pick up the one and get off strike. James Anderson, he looks absolutely furious, and that is completely understandable. 4 for 55 into his 21st over. He's wandering back to the top of his mark. He now needs to just try and control those emotions. Someone who's got so much experience in Test cricket. But that hurts. That hurts. He's had 2 drop catches of his bowling. As he turns again, Azhar Ali on strike. He's got a deep point in position and 3 slips as Anderson bowls. Back of a length. Ali defends to mid-on off the front foot. Another good length delivery from James Anderson. How many overs has he bowled this summer, Andy? As Broad tosses the ball back to Anderson.
This is his 140th of the summer. He has 13 wickets so far.
Here he comes again. Bowls. Ali plays it back to Stuart Broad. Extra bit of bounce on that occasion off a length.
And nip back as well.
Yeah, it was a surprise delivery for the Pakistan captain. As Stuart Broad again just gives the ball a bit of a shine and tosses it to Anderson, who is now giving the ball a shine on the back of his trousers. Here he comes again. Final ball of the over then. Azhar Ali wants to get down the other end. Anderson bowls. Ali!
Oh my!
He's dropped again. Ali drives. Stuart Broad this time drops it. And now turns to throw down the stumps. Mohammad Abbas has managed to get in, has he?
He's given up.
No, he's been given out. So he will wander back to the pavilion. High drama out in the middle. And Stuart Broad is now shaking his head. No one can believe what is happening here as it hits his wrists, looking to take the ball in front of him. He turns, he throws, presence of mind to throw down the stumps at the other end as Abbas comes through. It's a good bit of work in the end, but you have to feel for James Anderson. 261 for 9. Abbas goes for 1.
What a
It's all
drama.
happening,
It's all
Azhar.
happening here. Oh my God. 3 drops in just about 2 overs. And for Jimmy Anderson, it was really poor cricket from England point of view.
Well, it's the end of the over now. Anderson is having a quick chat to Joe. And now slowly walking back to his mark, head down, hands on hips for James Anderson. Well, it's contagious. It is absolutely contagious out there at the moment. There is nothing you can say as a player.
No, everyone does drop catches, you know. No one meant to do that, but you know, when someone looking for that 5-4 and then the 600 wicket, if he catches these 3 catches, you know, Jimmy Anderson will be 600 test wicket.
Regulation catches as well.
Yes, absolutely.
The first one, Rory Burns, just got himself into a bit of a tangle up on his toes, looking to take it sort of between hip and shoulder height out of his hands. And Zach Crawley low down, but again, he should be taking those catches at this level. And then Stuart Broad, hip height and hands on head for James Anderson. As Stuart Broad will continue from the pavilion end. 3 slips in position. Azhar Ali has managed to steal the strike at the expense of Mohammad Abbas. Point in position, extra, mid-off, mid-on. 2 men back on the leg side as Broad deliberately places the ball in his hand. Here he comes now. He bowls. Ali plays it down the leg side, but misses it as Jos Buttler dives to stop the ball.
Isham looking 1 wicket away and 17 overs still to go today. In these conditions with the second new ball, it's a lot more pressure on Pakistani openers again.
There might have been a conversation there with Joe Root and James Anderson as to what he would like to do. I mean, you'd think that they would like to come out and bowl again, especially with the rain around tomorrow and Tuesday, as Broad is in, Azhar Ali leaves outside the off stump.
And the conditions are ideal to bowl at this time because I know they're tied there on the field for almost 90 overs, but this is the time as a bowling unit you want to come back and bowl to the opposition. If they can get, like they did yesterday, getting 3 wickets or 2 wickets up front, so that'll be massive boost for them. And looking at the forecast for next couple of days, it's not great either.
Azhar taps his bat down, now still in his crease, back and across, drives back past James Anderson, who now has to chase this ball to the boundary. He's putting in here, Anderson, but the ball will win as Azhar Ali will pick up another 4, goes to 133, 265 for 9, slightly fuller there from Stuart Broad on the line of middle stump.
Beautiful shot, balance, everything was right. Look at that, he was missing those balls early on this series, and now he's playing so well.
That won't help his mood. James Anderson is Broad has the ball again. It's been a fine innings from the Pakistan captain, resolute, resilient, determined. As ball bowls hits the inner part of the bat as it finds its way to mid-wicket. James Anderson comes in to collect the ball as they come through for 1. Ali to 134 then. As the score moves to 266 for 9, 317 behind. It is just getting slightly darker here in Southampton. Umpires will be aware of it as Broad shuffles away, running towards us from the pavilion end. Beats the edge of the bat for Naseem Shah. There's a muted appeal from the slip cordon. One more ball left then of this over. Naseem Shah has to negotiate this delivery.
It's a tough delivery for Naseem Shah, especially at this time. He has to survive this delivery. I'm thinking what the Pakistani opener will be thinking in the dressing room here. Please, rain.
We're doing a rain dance as Stuart Broad approaches the crease again. He bowls to Naseem Shah, who's covering the ball. A good length delivery on middle stump to the leg side. And at the end of the over, Naseem Shah has been able to escape unscathed. 266 for 9 then, Pakistan. A few more words from you, Azhar, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
It will be very crucial at this time if England get another wicket here and put Pakistan back into bat. So another 17 overs to go. And they have to bowl 14 overs to Pakistan.
Well, as I've been watching on the telly, and there have been some amazing faces pulled by England's fielders when that third drop went down and then the run out, just the way that Buttler and Root looked at each other, they knew that Jimmy Anderson was exploding. He could have had 600 wickets. He could have had them.
It's so frustrating for him. And we saw some absolutely beauty from Josh Buttler down the leg side. And magnificent catch, and then you drop 3 catches.
Very strange. 266 for 9. Azhar's on strike. He might as well play a few shots. But he blocks this one. And he's 134. And I just wonder, here's a thought for you. Just say Pakistan will bowl out in the next 5 minutes or something. Naseem's bowled out. If you are Azhar Ali and you've played so well and you're so set and you've been facing a new ball, you could open the innings?
Yes, why not? Why not? And Azhar Ali done it before. So there's
a good argument for it, isn't it? I mean, he's looking so good. Anderson runs in, bowls to him, is forward, inside edge into the pad. Oh, Anderson looks skywards again.
Yeah, and he faced 2 new balls in this innings.
And he's just been facing one now. So you'd think you just continue his innings, wouldn't you, in a way? But I think I would do if I were him.
He got a chance to carry his bat.
Light. Yeah. Problem is the light. There's a little bit of sunlight coming through the thick cloud now. Anderson's on his way, taking the shadows with him, bowls. Oh, and that's driven towards mid-off, but doesn't go there. It goes to mid-on, where Broad's throw was purely out of anger. Really, he dropped such an easy catch, and he was just raging, hurled the ball and happened to rip out the middle stump. I'm not sure if he gave it 100 times to do it. I'm not sure how many times he would actually do it from there. It's a long throw. It's just chaos for a few minutes. Sibley's is a straightforward one. Anderson runs up, bowls, played very late by Azhar, runs out to cover. So that's 4 balls gone now. Let's see if they can bring the field up. They will do, I'm sure. Up comes square leg. Up comes third man. And Azhar's on 134. We'll try and get a single, really, because I think we've seen most of what Naseem has to offer with the bat, and it isn't very much.
Nothing. Because
nothing's a bit harsh. I mean, he might survive a couple of balls, Azhar.
Because if you see the averages for the last 3 Pakistani batsmen.
Yes, they're not great, are they? So, what's Azhar going to do here? Anderson's on the way, he's there, and he bowls to him, short of a length, driven, forcing stroke, but straight to Crawley at cover.
Abbas, Naseem and Shaheen Shah average altogether 13.5. Andy, I'm right?
Altogether. They've more or less lived up to it today so far. In fact, they might have just fallen below it.
Yes, it's not impressive. In this series between them, I'll come to this after this ball.
Here's the last ball. Can he find a single somewhere? Anderson bowls to him, he wants it, and he has. He's manufactured that. He's jumped outside the off stump and worked it with one hand down to fine leg. And that is a man who's set and seeing the ball really well, and is also, by the way, a very fine player. And it's nice that we in England have actually had the chance to appreciate it, because he really hasn't scored much against England in this country. And he scored 6,000 test runs. The man can play. But he's played beautifully today.
Absolutely fantastic. We saw some great courage, good discipline, good technique. He slightly changed his technique, slightly opened his front foot,
yes,
and managed to play the ball in front of his pad, which is really important for him. We saw in the last series and this series as well, he's getting leg before and caught behind. And today he played so well.
Something extraordinary has happened, worthy of a note. I want to make sure I've got this right. Stuart Broad has gone off, and I'm just going through the options available. I think we may have. See if Shan. But he throws right-handed, doesn't he, Jack? I think Jack might be on the field for the first time since before Christmas, and in the last Test match of this summer, I think Jack Leach finally is on a cricket field. Thank goodness for that. In comes Archer, and he bowls short, and it's flogged away into the leg side by Azhar. Chance of one run there, definitely. Didn't really get hold of it. It was a loosener from Archer, and Azhar Ali mistimed the stroke, and his cross is thumping his bat into his pad there in frustration. 267 for 9. Well, poor old Jack, he's had a really miserable time, and I know he's found all this business pretty stressful. And there he is at mid-off.
I think it's Bracey.
Oh, it's Bracey. Oh no, is it? Oh no, I think you might be right. Archer comes in, bowls, and has pushed away into the offside. I think it is. He's got Jack's cap on or something. He looks like Jack. Doesn't he look like Jack?
He picked the ball with the left hand.
Oh, I think it is Bracey. Oh, poor Jack. Oh, it is Bracey. Oh, well, Jack will be next on if someone else goes off. 267 for 9. In comes Archer, bowls short and is swatted away over cover, and Bracey's giving chase after this, actually heading out towards the boundary on the right hand side, and they'll just amble to. It's still early in the over. Yeah, it is, I can see on the screen. 269 for 9, so they're 314 behind. So need 115 or thereabouts to avoid the follow-on.
Extraordinary shot on the back foot, over covers.
Well, I think wisely he's decided that if they are going to get this 117, he's going to score them all. Up it comes Archer, bowls, and he just lost his drive there. He's aiming for mid-off, and in fact rather dragged the ball out to mid-on. But I think he knows up at the other end there's not going to be a big contribution towards 115.
No, not really.
He's going to do it himself. Up comes the field. 2 balls remain. Can Archer now keep Azhar Ali down at this end? He runs in. Oh, well, he ran in, but then didn't let go of the ball. He ran straight through the crease. So Archer has to go back and try again. That little glimmer, little golden sunshine has gone. It looks dark. Would you start an innings in this? I know it should be the same for everybody, but they often tend to be more sympathetic for opening bats. When Archer comes in, bowls very wide, and Azhar went at it. And again, we looked frustrated that he missed out there, I think, because he could have absolutely scythed that over cover.
Big heave from Azhar Ali. Missed completely.
Now he wants 1. What's Archer going to bowl? Quick bouncer?
Where is the single?
Well,
maybe on square leg, like he played the last ball.
Could be. Yes, there's a gap there.
But no, with...
In comes Archer, then bowls. Azhar wants a single, and he's going to get 4 instead. He's hammered that through deep mid-wicket, as he'd like to have done to the first ball of the over. So it does expose Naseem to Jimmy Anderson, I assume, who's walking up, looking a little bit melancholy as he does so. I'm not surprised. He's had 3 catches dropped, 2 in 1 over. He should now have 600 wickets.
Azhar Ali picked the length so early and hit in front of square.
He really hammered that one. Right, Jimmy, here's your chance. He's got the number 11, and he's a proper number 11. Fielder's getting into position. They don't want him to get away, though. They
just bowl in swinger, Jimmy. Hit the stumps.
Is that enough usually? It could be. They've got a man coming into mid-wicket. I think I might have Woakes round a little bit there. More of a extra cover than a mid-off. Yeah, he's going round there now. Archer's at mid-on. And there's 4 slips and a gully, who's fine. Naseem Shah, the number 11, is waiting for James Anderson, who runs in now and bowls to him. He's hit on the pad. It's a peel for leg before wicket. Nothing, though, from Anderson. He must have nicked it. He must have nicked it. It started off as being Anderson's day, but it's degenerating badly. Actually, it's just going down the leg side, that one. Having seen the replay, so no edge, but behind the wickets they were keen. I think they tried to cheer Jimmy up a bit. 273 for 9. Shah hasn't scored a run yet, and Anderson's on his way. Down go the slips. He's there now, and he bowls to Naseem Shah, and he lets that one go outside the off stump. Nothing wrong with that. Well, then he executes to fresh air, I hasten to add, rather ambitious looking pull shot. And I don't think, given the opportunity, he would actually manage to play in real time, as it were. But it looked all right from here. 273 for 9. And Anderson wheels round again. It's the third ball of the over. He's there now, bowls to Naseem, who, semi-left that and semi-played at it. It was a number 11 grope, really. He's got a smile on his face. So too's Mark Ramprakash. Did you see the faces of the fielders when Stuart Broad dropped that one? You could see Root and Buttler just covering their eyes, and then that throw that ripped out the middle stump is out of pure anger,
yes.
Really. It was an amazing moment.
Well, it really was, especially given the 2 catches that had preceded that as well, that ended a drop. I wonder whether Stuart Broad's up in the dressing room getting ice on his wrist from having dropped the catch.
Anderson runs in, bowls, and Shah gropes forward, misses that completely. 4 balls gone. Well, he has managed to hold it together, Jimmy. I mean, he can blow up. He's a bit of a Mount Etna, but I think he's just thought, well, there's nothing else. Nothing else could go any more wrong than it has done, really. He should have a 5 for another one, and he should have 600 wickets.
How would have you reacted in that situation?
Oh, phlegmatically, Ramps.
I'm sure.
Rather like you, I'd imagine. 273 for 9. In goes Anderson, bowls, and another play and a miss. Another play and a miss from Naseem Shah.
2 peas in a pod, I reckon we are.
Well, I think we could be. You should have been a very fast bowler.
Well, I was in my youth, actually. I used to run in
nippy medium pace.
I used to run in quicker than I bowled it.
Did you?
But importantly, I showed aggression. Actually, I was the sort of bowler that Phil Tufnell didn't enjoy facing, even though I wasn't actually quick. The ball didn't come out quick. I just ran up, looking like I was going to bowl.
You were just angry.
Yeah.
This is the last ball of the over. Anderson runs in. He's there, and he bowls short, edge caught. It is finally a wicket for James Anderson, who's taken 5 wickets. And Sibley's clutched hold of that, and they're all wrapping their arms around Jimmy. It's not his 600. He could have had that, but it is another. It's another to add to his tally. It's 598. He's got his 5-wicket haul, and my word, it took some getting. It's a little fist pumps all round. He's almost got a smile on his face. I think I saw there on the screen his 29th 5-wicket haul. Nice catch. Sibley taking it around knee high to his left. And the Pakistan innings comes to a close. Bowled out for 273, so they're 310 runs behind. And all we need now is word of them enforcing the follow-on. But I'm not sure how word will reach us of that at the moment. I don't think there's a PA announcer here for a start. Word will reach us somehow. Where's Joe Root? He might just be asking about the light. He's talking to the umpire at the moment, actually. So he might just be saying, look, am I all right? Are we okay to bat in this? In other words, Will Pakistan be all right to bat? There's the applause for Azhar Ali, who's played brilliantly. Beautiful innings that. And he's 141 not out. And I wonder, I'll put this question to Azhar. I see Jimmy selecting a new ball, so we can assume from that the follow-on has been enforced. And he's going through there the bucket of new balls that they have. And the light actually doesn't look too bad. Ramps, I'm going to ask you, if you're Azhar Ali, are you going to open the innings?
No.
Not?
No, I wouldn't open the innings at all.
Oh.
No. I would.
You played so well. You've faced a new ball.
Yes.
You're in form.
Yes. There's merit in that. But I think that the two openers, how would they feel if you left out one of them to? I mean, it could be a tactical change. I mean, Shan Masood actually, as a tactical change for him not to face Jimmy Anderson.
Go down the order.
There might be some merit in that, but I would feel for the individual who's asked not to open, having originally been selected to open. So I think that might be a touch harsh. I mean, they are professional players.
They are,
and this is part of the job, as tough as it is.
So caught Sibley, bowled Anderson. Let's get that in the book for the record. 273 all out, and they will follow on 310 runs behind. The light is very, very marginal. Jimmy Anderson, 23 overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 56. Stuart Broad at 2 for 40. Woakes and Bess a wicket each. Woakes 1 for 42 and Bess 1 for 68. Jofra Archer went wicketless, but he bowled with hostility. So today Shafiq was the first out for 5, fell to Anderson. Wonderful catch by Jos Buttler, who's taken a couple of superb catches today. First was Fawad Alam, who got a ball from Bess that spat out of the rough. It turned and bounced, just took the edge, and there was Buttler taking the ball right out shoulder high to his left, standing up with Fawad out for 21. Rizwan played really well again. I think we're all really impressed with his character, his attitude, and also, of course, the way that he plays. But 138 on with Azhar Ali, for he was caught by Buttler off Woakes. That was down the leg side, wasn't it, for 53. Yasir Shah was very well caught by Root. It went very quickly, high above his head with a new ball. It stung his hands. That was off Broad for 20. And then the really brilliant catch, Shaheen Afridi was caught down the leg side by Buttler off Broad, and he was absolutely at full strength. And what was brilliant about it was he was just clinging onto the ball with his fingertips. And I suspect he knew that if he'd landed on that hand in the dive, there's a good chance the ball might bounce out. So while he's in mid-dive and the hand is going down towards the ground, this is all happening in an absolute flash. He's just allowed the ball to drop into the palm of his hand. It was absolutely brilliant. So there he was. So when he landed, the ball was in the palm of his hand. A terrific catch. Then the madness, all these drop catches, 2 dropped off Anderson in 1 over. So you can imagine how that went down. And then another third, when Azhar Ali hit him to Broad at mid-on. Again, a straightforward catch. Down it went. Broad couldn't believe it. He grabbed the ball. Azhar Ali was trying to get the single to keep the strike. And in a real rage, really, Broad just hurled the ball at the stumps and hit the middle one out of the ground, with Mohammad Abbas miles out. His run out for 1. And then, as just described there, Naseem Shah neatly taken by Sibley off Anderson without scoring. So the follow-on has been enforced, and there's a very light roller that's just tickling the surface, really, that Pakistan would have requested. They haven't asked for the heavy one. They've gone for this little light one. We've seen Jimmy Anderson selecting the new balls, which seem to be housed in a rather large crate, like a milk crate. So anyway, they're all in there, and waiting now to see Pakistan's openers. I can see them. I think they need to come out and just have a few throwdowns. I think in this light they've been sitting inside all day, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. So I suspect you're right, Ramps. I don't think we're going to see Azhar opening. Or hang on a minute. I think we are going to see Azhar Ali opening. We are. He's coming down the steps. He's going to carry on. Except the change is not Shan Masood, who's coming behind him. Abid Ali's not going to open. Well, there we go. So the Pakistan captain, 141 not out. He can't resume on 141 not out. What if he'll play himself in again? Whether he'll start again? How that'll all work. Rams, I'm going to let you just muse on that because it's time I left, and Dan's coming in here to start the innings off.
Well, fascinating from a Pakistan point of view. As I look away to my right-hand side where the clouds seem to be coming from, it does look darker over there. It's 7 o'clock at night. Really not much time left in the day. I'm so surprised that Pakistan's best player, informed player, looks like he's going to open on the resumption, and I can understand that he's the one to come out, but also Shan Masood as well. That's a little bit of a surprise. I guess the left-hander getting the vote of confidence. It was only 150.
Left-hand, right-hand? Is that the thinking?
Well, the thing is, he's struggled so much against Jimmy Anderson, hasn't he? So I wondered whether the two right-handers might come out in Abid Ali and the captain.
Here's a thought, though. How many overs did Anderson bowl in that spell, Andy? Because
7.
So maybe they're thinking he's not going to bowl many more overs in this spell, so Shan Masood might be better off basically trying to get through 2 overs of Jimmy Anderson rather than 5 tomorrow or something. Look, am I overthinking this?
Well, no. Look, I think it's worth considering. I just think that we're not likely to get much play tonight. I think it's very, very dark as we. I think it's getting darker by the minute, to be honest. And that's why I think Azhar Ali, I'm surprised he's come out. Obviously, he's hitting the ball particularly well, but there's not a lot to gain from Pakistan's point of view.
No, I sort of see their thinking there, though. I suppose he's in, but you've got 2 openers who're supposed to do the job of opening. So that's the other way of looking at it. What Abid Ali makes of it, I don't know. And indeed, what poor old Shan Masood makes of it, because he had to come in very difficult circumstances yesterday. The light was an awful lot better, but he'd been out in the field for 2 days. So go forward 24 hours, the poor fellow's back out there again with the light really quite horrible. I mean, look, we might get away with it because the weather's coming towards us and there's a break in the clouds in front of us. To the right of us, there's a really quite a nasty bank of high but very grey cloud. But there are some little breaks in this segment that are coming towards us, and the England team are very keen. They've got right out there. But if I tell you, we can see a fair bit in the way of shadows from the floodlights. When you see the sort of 4 shadows. Now, is this the light meter? Ooh, here she comes. I've had the Hall & Oates song in my head all day, Man Eater, whenever I think about that light meter, and I fear it's there. It's on top of the stumps, and it may have come to bring an early end to proceedings. Does this mean, by the way, Azhar Ali has now walked out to bat? Does this mean that as they go, if they do go off for bad light, he's already started his innings, Andy, and therefore must open tomorrow?
Oh, that is an interesting one. I'm not sure about that. I imagine once you've crossed the boundary rope, you're in.
Do you think?
He's walking off again now.
I certainly feel that if you cross the rope, I thought you were in, I must say.
Right.
So, there we are.
Well,
but they're walking off now.
They're walking off for bad light. Now, the next question I'm going to ask you, a fiendish one, Andy, is that end of proceedings for today because it's past 7 o'clock? It is. So we think that is close of play. The players are trooping off. I'm getting confirmation of that as we speak, which is a terrible disappointment for England, who would have loved to have had a couple of overs with the new ball. On the other way of looking at it, James Anderson's just bowled a 7-over spell and will come back refreshed with the new ball tomorrow. And he'll probably be bowling, we think, to Azhar Ali. We think, opening the batting.
Azhar Ali scored over half of Pakistan's runs, 141 not out of their 273 total, which is a relatively rare occurrence for an innings of that size. Pakistan's tail has been a massive problem for them in this series. Collectively, their 9, 10 and 11 are averaging 2.7, which is the lowest by teams 9, 10 and 11 touring England in the history of Test cricket.
2.7?
Yes.
Well, that isn't too great, is it? They did hang around a little bit in the first innings of the last Test match. But I'm going to have to go, because I'm going to have to go and find someone to interview, because it is the close of play, which means that Jonathan Agnew is going to come in, Michael Vaughan's going to come in, Andy Zoltzman's going to stay there. Mark, cover for me, and we're going to have our close of play proceedings.
Well, I guess with the conclusion of play, we've seen some outstanding performances, haven't we, today? I mean, Azhar Ali, the Pakistan captain, showing true grit and class under huge pressure. I think a big personal milestone for him as a player to get 100 in English conditions. I think was an outstanding effort. He has a double 100 under his name, actually, in Melbourne in 2016. But I think for any Asian player to make runs outside of Asia is such a tough thing to do, and it must be very satisfying. So he'll be well pleased with his performance, and he's given his team something to be very happy about. And of course, on the other side, the England team, wonderful 5-wicket haul for James Anderson. Once again, never get tired of watching him bowl and waxing lyrical about him. As I hand over to Mr.
Thanks, Mark. Funny situation, isn't it? And that Azhar Ali has come out to open the batting simply because he's in and has been batting, but he hasn't faced a ball, and now he's going back in the dressing room, and he'll come out tomorrow because he has to, of course, open the batting now. He's walked over that boundary rope, so he's in, and he's got to come out tomorrow when he hasn't been batting. So anyway, I could see what they were up to. You could see that that was possibly going to be the case. The light, just before people say anything, is not good. This is bad light, genuinely bad light. So the umpires really had no option but to offer it, and the cover is going on, and Michael Vaughan's alongside me. We can start our look back at an eventful day again, the third day of the final test between England and Pakistan here at the Ageas Bowl. Sees Pakistan bowled out for 273, and they're following on 310 runs behind, but they haven't faced a ball yet at that second innings, because as soon as all the players went out into the middle, the umpires decided that the light was too bad, and they took them off. An eventful day in lots of ways. Jimmy Anderson finishes on for 598 wickets. He should have had his 600, because he had 3 catches dropped, 2 in 1 over. And even by Jimmy's standards, I think that was a bit of a challenge for him to remain, but actually he did remain pretty cool, pretty calm. He took the first one of the day. Shafiq was caught by Root at first slip after 6 runs had been added for 5. That was 30 for 4. Fawad Alam made 21. He got a beautiful ball from Bess that turned, bounced, and was very, very well caught indeed by Jos Buttler, standing up. He had a long way to go up and to his left. So that was the end of Fawad. Then the main stand of the day, 138 between Mohammad Rizwan and the captain Azhar Ali, and Rizwan was eventually caught down the leg side by Buttler off Woakes for 53. The captain still going strong at this stage. Yasir Shah made 20. He was very well caught by Joe Root when the new ball was taken off the bowling of Broad. It went really quickly and high above his head at first slip. It was a terrific catch, that. Broad also had Shaheen Afridi caught. Brilliant catch by Jos Buttler, one-handed, absolute full stretch down the leg side, and the ball was just in the tip of his fingers, and he knew if he landed on that hand from the dive, there's a chance the ball might bounce out of his glove. You often see that. So while he was, just before he landed, he just loosened his grip on the ball, allowed it to drop into the palm, and then closed his fist around it. It was a brilliant piece of wicket keeping. Then the shambles with the drop catches and so on, including Azhar Ali. He was dropped twice. Burns put him down. Mohammad Abbas was dropped by Crawley at slip. So those Anderson managed to virtually keep it together, but then Azhar Ali hit him to mid-on. It went to Stuart Broad's waist, just to his right. He dropped it, and just as everyone thought, oh no, here comes another violent explosion, in a rage himself, Broad just got hold of the ball and hurled it at the stumps and happened to rip the middle one out of the ground with Mohammad Abbas out of his ground. It was an amazing piece of cricket. I mean, it was comedy in so many ways. But again, Anderson denied what would have been his 3rd wicket. That would have been number 600. But he's had to deal with and simply settle for his 598th when he had Naseem Shah caught by Sibley for naught. He's taken his 29th 5-wicket haul, 5 for 56. Stuart Broad took 2 for 40. Woakes and Bess a wicket each, and Jofra was wicketless for 58. So lots going on. There's a period there, Michael, where, I don't know, with the forecast around, it looked as if Pakistan might be able to see out the day, go into tomorrow. We know that Tuesday looks to be a bit of a write-off and possibly save the game, but they've got a long day ahead of them tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of look at Pakistan. I think when they lost that early wicket this morning, I don't think there was many in the ground around the commentary boxes that didn't think they were going to just fall in a heap.
Yeah.
You know, I think the conditions were in England's favour, and all of a sudden Azhar Ali came out there, and straight away you could see that his technique had changed. That left foot wasn't quite going over to the offside. His balance was better. He could access those straighter deliveries. He played a few glorious shots on the inside to get himself going. And in Mohammad Rizwan, he found a fighter, you know, a great character to bat with, and that partnership was special for Pakistan. England kept on nipping away. The spinner and Jos Buttler's combination worked. Delighted for Buttler behind the stumps because he's taken 3 really good catches. That one down the leg side to Stuart Broad, the flying right hand, the one off Don Bess, one off Chris Woakes down the leg side, very similar to the one that he dropped off Jermaine Blackwood just a few weeks ago here on this venue. So it's been a good day for Buttler. Azhar Ali's a standout for Pakistan, but it's amazing now. I remember today for those 3 drop catches in 10 balls.
I've just seen them while you were talking. They've just shown them on the screen, and how Anderson has managed to hold it together. And such an irony that Stuart Broad would have dropped his 600. I mean, how does that work out as well?
Oh, it was just comical, wasn't it?
So comical. And you see the ball hurled in rage from Broad, ripping out the stump. And one of the highlights for me was the looks on the faces of Jos Buttler and Joe Root, because they daren't look at Jimmy. And there's a wicket fallen and no one knew what to do. You couldn't really celebrate it because it should have been Jimmy's 600.
And then you saw Mohammad Abbas's face. He was surprised he was run out. He was run out by 5 meters.
It was a mad moment, and it's nice that there's occasionally some comedy to go. I don't know how much Jimmy's ribs are necessarily being tickled at the moment, but anyway, he's been around a long time, and he knows his chance will come in this second innings to get the 2 that he now needs. Azhar, how do you reflect on Pakistan's day there? They 30 for 4. It didn't look good.
It wasn't look good, and as Michael mentioned, Azhar Ali and Mohammad Rizwan standout performance from these guys, and especially Azhar Ali under so much pressure, so much scrutiny, and the way he batted today and leading the team from the front. And good thing we saw him coming back for opening the bat.
Yes, that was interesting, wasn't it? I was in favour of that.
Yes, I need to ask you, what is the rule? Because ball hasn't been bowled and he crossed the rope and he can bat.
He's in. He's crossed the rope.
I think he's in.
Crossed the rope.
Yeah. I think once you come out over that rope, because that's the interesting thing about it, isn't it? Now you've got your prime batsman in great form. I could see why he opened the batting tonight. But now tomorrow he's going to start fresh.
I thought it was the right decision. I think because enough experience in the coaching staff, Bakar, Mushi, and all these guys, and they said you face the ball, 2 new balls, and why don't you go and face the 3rd new ball? And it was right decision for Pakistan point of view. I think he's played really well with Rizwan. He's a fighter. We saw he got hit by the Jofra Archer, and next ball, everything was behind the ball, and he played really well. He showed some good courage and temperament and everything.
Isn't it? It's sort of good from a player's perspective when you can prove points to your critics. There's this phrase I don't really like to use because there wouldn't have been criticism usually in this, without reason, but with all the noise that's been going on in Pakistan, Sarfaraz in Rizwan's case. And obviously there's Azhar Ali just seems to be copying it from all sorts of areas at the moment, and Rizwan's had a terrific tour, isn't he? I mean, that is a really good decision that he's come in to replace Sarfaraz as an impartial observer, not involved in Pakistani cricket politics. He's a terrific cricketer. He's got a really strong character. And for Azhar Ali, again, who's described as copying so much back at home, to bat like that in these conditions, the light's been pretty awful all day. He's held that innings together.
It was tough condition. Yesterday when he was batting, Jimmy Anderson and Broad was bowling with Archer, and this morning as well. It was tough condition. It wasn't easy condition any time. Ball was doing enough, and he showed some great class, and he proved his critic wrong in back home in Pakistan. And Rizwan as well. Everybody was saying why you dropped the captain, and he was brilliant throughout the series with his keeping and batting as well. We saw in the last game, when ball was whooping around and the way he batted with the tail, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. How do you assess Azhar's
innings? I just think that's proof that when you just iron out something technically and you go and deliver it out in the middle, I'm sure over the course of the last week or so, there was a lot of time probably to go in the indoor school throughout that second test match, and that left